Hi, John. We got John Rourke here with Blue Line Moving and Storage and also the Great American Cleanup, which we're excited to hear about. And before we begin, thank you for your service.
You're welcome.
Both in the past and now.
It's my pleasure. Yeah, so Great American Cleanup, that's our thing. It's kind of every year my company, Blue Line Moving, we put together a cleanup in a different city around the United States. So it started in 2019, and we did inner city Baltimore in 2019, the Easterwood district. So I kind of work with the local government and asked them, like, where are the worst spots in Baltimore for trash? Mm-hmm. So they were reluctant at first because Baltimore was in the headlines in the news a lot at that point because Trump was tweeting about calling Baltimore a rat-infested shithole.
Okay.
So that's when it was like him and the congressman who's since passed were like going back and forth with each other. So because of that, it was on the news. So you got to see all these images of how bad Baltimore was if you were watching Fox News or Newsmax or one of the conservative-leaning news agencies. They're obviously showing you Baltimore, and I just couldn't believe how bad it was. So I organized a cleanup with some people that I know down here.
So that intrigued you to organize a cleanup is by seeing that, or you already planned to go to a city?
No, that's what motivated me to do the cleanup was seeing how bad the pictures of Baltimore were on the news. I just couldn't believe that was like a real city in the United States. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah, and so I said, I want to organize a cleanup. So I called a friend of mine that's in the garbage business and has family in New York that's in the garbage business, and we got a bunch of guys together, and the company out there, Maggio Environmental, they drove a garbage truck from Long Island to Baltimore, and then we drove up from Jupiter to Baltimore, and we met there, and then we had basically 20 blocks to clean up in Easterwood district of Baltimore, and we essentially just went block by block and just picking up trash. 15 minutes really, maybe between 15 and 30 minutes into our first day on the cleanup. Our first day, literally just got there, got the equipment out, guys got set up, and we noticed these two guys that look like zombies. They're just like walking down the street, and this is how it is in Baltimore. Mm-hmm. It's they were ODing, so they literally just collapsed right in front of us, dead. These two guys died, no pulse.
Oh my goodness.
Lady runs out of her house. They keep Narcan by their front door in Baltimore because so many people overdose there.
You got to be kidding.
So they have non-for-profits that pass out Narcan to residents in high overdose areas. So these people literally, they'll ask you if you want it or not. Some people do, some people don't, but a lot of people do. So this lady, these two dudes dropped dead right in front of us. We're like, holy shit, like what is going on right now? You know what I'm saying? We check a pulse, not breathing. The guy had a slight pulse, and then it went to nothing. But a lady runs out of the house. They overdosed. This happens all the time. Oh. Here's Narcan. They applied the Narcan. One dude came right back up, like Night of the Living Dead, like a zombie, like sat right up. Like, what's going on? Who are you guys? What are you doing? We were all wearing bright orange shirts. It said the Great American Cleanup on it, like with some sponsors, logos and stuff on it.
That's not the cleanup you anticipated, though.
No, of course not. Yeah, no. We didn't anticipate that. We assumed that we were going to see a lot of trash, which we saw a lot of trash, but we didn't think two guys were going to die right in front of us, and that. But that's Baltimore now. I mean, this is what.
Has it gotten any better? Do you know since you were there?
No.
Or besides the impact you did while there, but it's still...
No. I mean, Baltimore is the same Baltimore. There's been no change. It's probably, I'm assuming with the economy being where it is right now, it's probably gotten worse. But yeah, that was nuts. We picked up 26 tons of trash, 26 tons of garbage. Just off of the streets of Baltimore.
Like how much of the city did you get done?
20 blocks.
Oh my gosh.
In 20 blocks, we picked up 26 tons of garbage.
Over a ton of blocks.
Yeah, of garbage. Just garbage on the streets, garbage in the alleys. Like, you're talking like people will just take their dump trailers, like construction companies, plumbers, contractors, whatever, will just go to these areas, back their dump trailer down an alley, and just dump their garbage into an alley and leave.
Even any kind of initiative to get like a place to dump this or to change what they're doing there, or is that the last of their concerns with all the issues they have?
No, I guess it's the last of the concerns. It kind of, speaking to some of the residents when we were down there, it just starts to fall on deaf ears. after you call and you call and you complain and nothing happens, then you just stop calling.
And then you look out your door and somebody's overdosing. So yeah, I guess.
Yeah, so that, I mean,
overwhelmed.
that's just what it happens. You know, it's just people just eventually give up when the government is overwhelmed and they can't support, and you elect the wrong people and they're lazy and they're not trying to do what they're supposed to do, and then it just trickles down, and then the people become helpless and they just say screw it, and basically
like Detroit, that's what they used to be, a very prosperous city, but
sure,
wrong power.
I mean, really, it's name a liberal city, and you're going to see a lot of the same things in every city. I could go to Detroit, and Detroit would be the same as Baltimore. I could go to Milwaukee would be the same. It's just, it is what it is. Like, you know. And that's just being
getting pretty bad now.
That's just being real. I mean, these big cities.
Reality, it's a fact. It's not something.
No, I mean, I went there.
Pretend it's not going on.
I'm like I like to always say I trust but verify, right? So like, I trust what you're telling me on the news media somewhat, right? But I'm not dumb. I understand they spin it in the way that they want to spin it. They edit selectively, you know, what they want you to see and things out and context, and there's a whole game that's being played, you know, in the media when they're filming something or showing something. I understand that. But so, you know, I like to verify. So I'll go there and verify. Like, Trump says this place is a rat-infested shithole. It is, in fact, a rat-infested shithole. Like, I went there and confirmed. It is confirmed it's a rat-infested shithole.
Good to know. We'll mark that with city down, too.
Yeah, so exactly. So we cleaned up 20 blocks, 26 tons, and we didn't even get it all. You know what I'm saying? There's still way more that could have been picked up. But
how long were you there for?
3 days.
And you got that much done?
Yeah.
Well, that's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, we had a garbage truck.
Did you teach the city how to do this before you left?
Yeah, seriously. The problem is like, you know, you got to get the community involved. You got to get people were starting to come out of their homes and asking, what's going on? What are you guys doing? We came from Florida because we saw how bad it was on TV here for the garbage, so we wanted to help you guys. And there were some older people who were getting emotional about it. You know, they were happy that we were there. We bought like a bunch of flower seeds. I forget, Black-Eyed Susan, I think, is the flower of Maryland.
Okay.
So we like threw Black-Eyed Susan flower seeds into like all these open fields that were covered in trash. And one of the ladies got my phone number, and she texted me like on the holidays, just saying, "Hey, thank you again for what you guys did.
That's beautiful.
We're keeping it. We're trying to keep it as clean as best we can, etc." We like left all our equipment at the church there because we bought a bunch of shovels and rakes and tarps and gloves and garbage bags and a bunch of equipment, you know, to pick up garbage. So we just left that there with them to try and get them to just try to maintain these 20 blocks. You know what I mean? And so that's where the first cleanup, that's where all the cleanups originated, that from the Trump tweets. And then, you know.
Following Trump, that's kind of cool. That's a good idea, though. It's honest.
Yeah. I mean, and it was just, I just couldn't believe how bad it was there. So, and when I went there, it wasn't just, you know, the two guys ODing. It was, you know, a cop getting shot at, a little girl got kidnapped, and they had a helicopter flying over our head almost the entire time we're there, you know, screaming out over a megaphone from the helicopter, like what the girl's wearing and like how old she is. So like, we're just picking up trash.
Did you like document all this while you're there?
Yeah, we have, if you go to our Facebook pages and scroll back and whatnot, you know, you can go back to 2019 and you'll see, at that time, we were calling ourselves the Traveling Trash Men. So you can find the Facebook page, Traveling Trash Men, on Facebook,
now,
too.
did that get shut down?
No.
During the okay.
No, so we wanted to do, this was before COVID.
Okay.
So then 2020, we were trying to do cleanup in New York, because that's originally where I'm from. And that's where a lot of the guys that I did the cleanup in Baltimore, they were, you know, from New York, or had family in New York, or whatever the case may be. But my dad was a cop in New York City for 20 years. We're from New York, so I was like, let's go to New York, you know? It'd be cool to give back to where we're from. And couldn't do it because COVID happened. So New York was basically shut down. So we were trying to do it again for 2021 to go to New York again. Excuse me. And then I was watching Fox and Friends, and I saw this sheriff, I forget what, Eagle County, Montgomery County, forget what his name was. He was on Fox and Friends, and he was talking about all the trash that's left behind when people cross the border illegally. So, and it was just like a vast amount of garbage. And he was just going through and he was like 60 or 80 miles away from the border. And he still had that much trash. And I just couldn't believe it. And then it just hit me. I was like,
That's where you're going.
F New York. What the hell do I want to give back to them for? They suck.
Wait till they turn around.
You know what I'm saying?
Do.
Like, what? No, I'm done with that place. You know what I mean? Like,
I think a lot of people feel that way watching the migration come down here.
Of course. And now they're busing them to New York and flying them to New York. But so I decided, I was like, you know what? I want to help this sheriff. So I got his name, called up the sheriff's department there, spoke with him. He was like, he couldn't believe it. You know, what are you trying to do? Come from Florida, pick up trash on the border? I'm like, I saw you on TV. I can't believe how bad it is. I got to do something. So he was like, you know, I'm like 60 or 80 miles away from the border, depending on where you are in my county. He's like, I'm pretty far away. He goes, let me put you in contact with another sheriff that's right on the border where it's way worse. And I was like, no problem. Sounds good. So he put me in contact with the Valverde County Sheriff. Joe Frank Martinez is his name, Sheriff Joe Frank Martinez. And
were they pretty excited to have you?
Hell yeah.
Oh, good. Nice.
Yeah, they were excited. I sent them like all the, you know, photos and videos and newspaper stuff from the cleanup in Baltimore. So I was like, listen, we're legit. Like, we're gonna clean up. We're gonna get some stuff done. So and then I decided on this cleanup to add raising money to it. So we were able to raise $10,000 and donated it straight to the Valverde County Sheriff's Department.
Excellent.
Whereas on the first cleanup, we didn't even think about raising money. So that wasn't even a thought. But then once we started working kind of with the sheriff's departments now, working hand in hand with the sheriff's department, you know, I own Blue Line Moving. It's about police. The blue line is is the thin blue line. You know, my sister is a sergeant with the PBSO. My dad's a retired police officer. So I used to work for this company as a mover like 20 years ago for the old owner who is a police officer. That's why it's called Blue Line. So I was able to work out a deal with him when he wanted to retire and buy the business. So I keep it Blue Line because it means something to me, you know, being the son of a cop. My sister's a cop, and et cetera. So I'm obviously all about supporting law enforcement officers. But so I decided that we were going to start working with the sheriff's departments or police departments, and reached out to Sheriff Frank Joe Martinez, and he was pumped. He's like, hell yeah, man, we could use whatever you want to do, man. Like, it's bad down here. So I flew out, met him before the cleanup, and he kind of took me around, toured Valverde County along the border, showed me like where the hot spots were for trash, and then I flew back, and it was like, all right, now I'm going to raise money. We raised the $10,000, flew back out. We had about 5 people with us this time that came with us this time.
How many were with you in Baltimore?
8 or 9.
Jeez, that's a lot of trash. That's good.
8 or 9 guys, and then some people were showing up that saw us on social media and were driving. Somebody drove from Virginia. These 2 girls drove from Virginia and met us there.
That's so great.
People from local Baltimore heard about us and met us there on multiple days. So we wound up having like, I don't know, 15 people doing the cleanup on each day.
Okay.
And then once those guys overdosed, we were on every news station, local news, national news. So people now that lived in Baltimore heard that we were still here cleaning, and were like, you know, a restaurant owner heard about us, messaged me on Facebook, bought us dinner, breakfast, lunch every day for the rest of the time we were there.
That's so neat.
He hired one of the guys that came out of the house and was helping clean up with us, give him a job as like a busser at his restaurant.
Very cool.
Kid was like, I can't find work around here. It just turned out to be just this
It's
epic.
amazing how that goes on and on and on. When
They saw us on the news.
Yep.
They were like, oh my God, this is amazing. How I got to help these guys. Message me, and that night we're eating dinner in his restaurant. You know what I'm saying? And then
paid it forward. That's cool.
And then he just called all these other restaurateurs, and they were all like, we want to take care of your breakfast. We want to take care of your lunch. You're going here. And it was nuts. So it was really good. But on the cleanup in Valverde County in Del Rio, I just decided I want to start partnering with these sheriff's departments and raise money and donate to them, and also clean up. Like, even if I raise $1,000, it's $1,000 more than they had before. You know what I mean? Maybe they can buy a drone for $1,000. I don't even know what those cost, but you know, whatever. I don't care. Something, a new bulletproof vest for one officer, whatever. But I set a goal of 10K, and we were able to get there. So we went to Del Rio. which is in Valverde County, and it was just a disaster. This is my first time, besides the pre-check.
You sent us a photo. You couldn't even see the ground.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just like that.
That was crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. When we went do you remember when all those Haitians were living under the bridge 2 years ago?
I do, actually.
There was like 25,000 Haitians living under a bridge in Del Rio. So when we did the cleanup, we were the ones that exposed that story when we just happened to be cleaning up under that bridge when there was only 850 Haitians living under the bridge. And then we went live on social media, and people are like, "Oh my God, where the hell are you? Are you in Haiti?" I'm like, "No, I'm on the southern border, and these people are literally living here."
That's not funny, but that's crazy.
Yeah, and we're talking babies, like I said, breastfeeding babies. They're washing their children in the Rio Grande. They're sleeping under a bridge.
They're just, I mean.
So what happened is they got a big caravan came up of Haitians from Chile. Right, so this is the whole part of the border scam that people don't hear about. You just hear about these poor Haitians, right?
That's why we brought you on. We got to hear this.
So the people left Haiti during the big earthquake, I don't know, 9 years ago, or maybe 7 years ago, something like that. You remember that massive earthquake where then the Clintons set up shop and scammed the entire island and ran their scam with the cell phones and whatever they were doing, helping people.
Very thoughtful of them.
Yeah, taking care of people.
Sad.
You know what I mean? So taking care of them so much that they're leaving the island in droves. They can't wait to get out of Haiti.
Bridge in the southern
border. To walk across Central America and then swim across the Rio, risking their lives, because when the Clintons came to Haiti, they got it done. They just made it such a great place for everybody. So
they do a good job wherever they go, it seems.
So, yeah.
Just kidding.
So what happens is the earthquake happened. Then people fled Haiti to Chile, and Chile gave them residence there. Made them legal residents of the country of Chile as a humanitarian gesture. So they've been living in Chile for the last 5 or 6 years, waiting for the best opportunity to leave Chile and come across the border. Joe Biden gets elected. Well, that just happens to be the best opportunity.
Seems that for every country, whatever they wanted to do before.
Over 130 countries crossing the border right now. So those Haitians started the caravan coming from Chile here. So they get to the Rio, and then the first thing they do is they, either when they cross or before they cross, they will take their Chilean ID and throw it into the Rio or throw it on the shores. Then walk up, get apprehended by Border Patrol. Then just say, "Hey, we're from Haiti. We left because of the earthquake." So if you remember, now I think it might have been 2 years ago, there was a smaller earthquake that just happened there. That was one of the triggers for them to leave Chile. They used the second earthquake saying, "Oh, we fled Chile after this second earthquake because it was too bad to live there." Or we fled, Haiti, but they really been living in Chile.
So it is kind of true. I heard kind of a rumor, whatnot, that people have kind of a rehearse that they're saying to people as soon as they get to the border. It's just kind of rehearsed.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they're getting rid of their IDs. Because,
did you find a lot of IDs?
Oh, I have video of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of IDs from all over the world.
That's so crazy.
So every single person that crosses that gets apprehended by a Border Patrol agent just miraculously does not have an ID on them. So what do you get to be now? If you show up to the United States of America from Venezuela with no ID, you can now become whoever you want to be.
That's excellent. That sounds safe.
So now you're whoever you want to be.
So crazy.
You just come up with your name and that's who you are, right? Because they have no way to determine who you are or where you're from. You could say, so you have people right now that are coming from all over Central America. As you heard, Joe Biden just recently said that they caught him as he was leaving a press conference or whatever to talk about how great the economy is or how great inflation is doing and all of these things. He has press conferences while he's standing next to the Dow Jones at down 1,000 and he's having a celebration about inflation didn't move from month to month.
He might not know yet.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, you just have all these people that are getting rid of their IDs. They become whoever they want to be. They say they're from wherever they want to say they're from. So they might be from the Honduras, but they're from Venezuela now. Mm-hmm. They're from Nicaragua now. They're from Cuba now, because those are the countries that they're allowed to stay here. Mm-hmm. They're not getting deported. So They say wherever they want to, because there's some, if they say they're from Mexico, then they're going back, right? But they're not really going back. The government says they're going back, but they don't send them back.
I haven't seen anybody go back, but I haven't been down there.
Even the Border Patrol agents that I talked to that said that they apprehend even pedophiles and felons, they release them, they turn them over to the Department of Homeland Security, and then the Department of Homeland Security just releases them.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, so they just let them go. It's no big deal. I mean, that is really happening. Like, it's happening. I talked to not just one Border Patrol agent, 3 Border Patrol agents in 3 different areas.
Are they just completely
asked them the same question. They all answered in the same way.
Are they all frustrated, like just going crazy down there?
Oh my God, they're beyond frustrated.
That's crazy.
The morale is in the absolute tank.
Wasn't there was a small group, kind of like their former veteran, or their veterans, former military down at the border. What group was that? And they were doing, but I think they kept getting kicked out by New Mexico's governor.
Yeah, they
tried to get them out of there, but they were being
did
helpful.
like a documentary on these guys, and basically these guys like track cartel like running lanes through the desert.
Yeah.
He's like it's a group of like mostly veterans,
yeah.
and they know all the lanes that are deep into the desert that Border Patrol, most of the time they're so hard to get to these areas that they're not getting there. A lot of the places on the border are just like that, where they're going to run the drugs through there because there's just less of a chance that you're going to run into, someone stopping you in these spots. So this guy, I forget what his name was, and I just saw him on Fox News. They were talking about him yesterday. And he goes out with a group and he follows these people and he tracks their movements and he records them, and he's out there with a weapon too. They're carrying weapons because they can.
I wouldn't go out there without a weapon. Were you out there without a weapon?
Yeah, I went first. Initially, I went with a weapon
Okay.
when I went out to the first cleanup, and then the next 2 times I went, I did not go with a weapon, mainly because they made it such a pain in the ass at the airport.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just feel like the more I keep getting on the news, the more I'm doing these things, the more that I'm putting a target on myself. And I'd just rather, I'm rolling out with police officers when we go out on.
When
we go on these cleanups,
okay,
there's a police officer with us,
good, okay.
armed, and we're carrying knives. I buy a knife as soon as I get there.
Okay.
But yeah, the first cleanup I was carrying for sure. But then I just noticed, my bag's getting searched. Oh, I just didn't want to deal with it really. And I knew I was going to be a police officer. So I just made a calculated decision and it was, to be honest with you, it was a real pain in the ass to carry it when I was cleaning and it's 105 degrees, I'm saying, and I know it's open carry in Texas. I could have carried it on my leg or something like that. But anyway, I didn't carry the next 2 times I went, but it was fine.
Okay.
But yeah, so these people are coming from all over the world. They're taking over these border towns. They are overrunning the police departments, the food pantries, the hospitals, the churches. These people are they're sleeping on the streets now. And then you have, these people, these wealthy, and I think it's like 89% white, Martha's Vineyard is, 85% vote Democrat. They get 48 people sent there. Barack Obama has a mansion that he probably only lives at maybe 4 months out of the year. Yeah,
less than 24 hours?
Less than 48 hours.
Less than 48.
And they were immediately onto a military installation.
And they were scared. They didn't like it.
Of course they were scared. What about the people in Eagle Pass?
Yeah, don't get it.
What about the people in Del Rio?
Yeah, Governor DeSantis is doing a good job.
Yeah,
Governor of Texas.
The thing is they're getting a taste of what these border towns deal with every single day.
It's minor.
It's
salt, like just a sprinkle.
It's just a little touch,
Yeah.
and you saw the panic that ensued.
Yeah.
They're on front of the news cameras. This is crazy, but they don't say anything. This is human smuggling. Texas sheriff is going to look into an investigation into Ron DeSantis, but you don't see them talking about when Joe Biden was flying these illegal aliens all over the country in the middle of the night in unmarked planes, sometimes from military installations like Laughlin Air Force Base by Eagle Pass. They were flying planes out of there. And then they were on my way home from this last cleanup, or not, it wasn't the last cleanup. When we flew in for the cleanup, in the airport, I got video of it, 20 illegals just sitting in the airport waiting to get on their taxpayer-funded flights. When I went for the pre-cleanup on my way out, literally the video, there was more illegal aliens in the airport in Del Rio than there were Americans, including the employees that worked there.
Were there flights on time, too?
Yeah, flights. Yeah, of course they were. Yeah, sitting
Mine
first
wasn't.
class.
Yeah,
Sitting
you're
first
kidding.
class. So there were about
This is
75% of 80% of the flight was illegals. Was illegal aliens.
Thank you
Taxpayer
for
funded.
sharing this, by the way.
No ID.
That's
But they got on the flight. If I didn't have my ID, I would not be able to get onto that airplane.
No,
no
need
ID for them.
We need the new IDs too. We don't just need any ID.
Of course.
As Americans, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they got on to flights with no IDs. So they just had documents from Department of Homeland Security or Border Patrol stating they could just fucking go wherever they want.
Do they get names right away, or is it just kind of they tell them their name?
So
they pick like a Venezuelan name?
Yeah, they just say whatever name they want to say
Okay.
is what it is. You know what I mean? And then they then DHS also puts fake addresses down as like, where are you going to be?
I was wondering.
This person doesn't know where they're going to be. You put them on a bus to Martha's Vineyard. They don't know anybody in Martha's Vineyard, I don't think.
No.
So where's their address going to be? So the person that from DHS filled out a form and put an address for every single person that they meet. And that address isn't in Martha's Vineyard. So where is that address from? Where do you just get a random address? You going to put my address down? Like, it's
How
this
do they
person.
pick it?
Who the hell knows? They just
what?
Think about that. But, and it's like...
Why
it's just the finer points. If you really try to really break it down and really dial it into every single thing, it's like, okay, well, let's just look at the paperwork and start from there. Like, you don't even really know who this person is. Mm-hmm. You don't have an address that's a real address because first off, you don't even know this person's real name. They don't have an ID. You can't verify anything on them. So they're just telling you a name. You're just writing it down. Then they're saying, oh, I'm going to be at this address. Like, can you confirm any of that? No, but then you put them on a bus to New York City and their address on the paperwork is for Houston. Like, it's just the whole thing is falling apart because it's not meant to be this way.
No, not at all.
So now you have to lie about addresses on documents. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's just one little thing. There's a million other things besides that. Not that that's like some gigantic deal, but
it's kind of a big deal.
It is a legal document.
Yeah.
And, the person is putting an address down that they're not certain is the address for that. Mm-hmm. But my point is this, is like Democrats come after Republicans and they get so detailed how they're going after President Trump, right? It's from every angle, right? Like Republicans have a hard time really digging in.
You can't
into the dirt. You know what I mean? Like, because then there's so many rhinos that'll try and squash that. But the Democrats are very good at getting in the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're very good at it.
That's the only thing they do is get into dirt. And
right.
They do things behind the scenes. I was telling them, when they create a crisis, they're free to do whatever they want behind the scenes.
100%. And that works both ways, too. That works both ways for Republicans, too. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that we keep electing the same people over and over again, and it's always bad results. But we just keep electing, like Nancy Pelosi, we're $30 trillion in debt. Mm-hmm. Crime has not gotten better where she's from. The city of San Francisco is not a better place than it was 150 years ago when she got elected. So she has been running that place for at least 30, 40, 50 years.
We can say with confidence we need new leadership. And the rhino thing, I think they're worse than Democrats when they come into the party.
They just keep putting them. They just keep putting them back.
Have you thought about running for office?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Of course.
I'm good. Seriously.
I have, but not for nothing. It's difficult to run for office when you see what they're doing to President Trump.
Well, I said they're using him as an example. It's like if Trump can't defend himself, and he does. He does a really good job, but they won't stop. He does. They won't stop.
And he has the finances to fight that battle. He has the lawyers, a team of lawyers that, as soon as this decision just came out by Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, to sue them, Trump's lawyer immediately on it, releases a statement, this is all a bunch of bullshit. See you in court, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I can't do that.
No, no, that's what we need, like a fundraising effort for
wife
people that
My wife's
going
going
to
to draft up an email and put it out to
people.
the press.
Yeah.
My husband didn't do anything. Leave him alone. Like, we don't
I
have
would
lawyers on deck like that. Like, you can't fight that kind of machine.
Yeah.
And
No,
the
they
way-
are using him as an example. Like, hey, anybody comes in principled, determined and honest, we're going to cut, this is what we're going to do to you.
And
It's
this
crazy.
is, and listen, man, I'm no angel, okay? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
we all got to pay.
right. Every single person, we're human beings, right? And it's like, I have 4 young children, and it's like, I just don't really know if I want to get my name, my family's name dragged through the mud for trying to do good. Like, I am not a person that rhino, like, politicians would want to put their support behind or get elected. Like, I'm the kind of guy they are like, please, like, we can't have you getting elected because, like, they're not going to get to me, man. Like, I'm going to stay who I am. I'm going to continue to do it how I want to do it and speak my mind and shine lights in places that need light, light shined on them. And they hate that shit. And they will go after you just as hard as Democrats will because they can't have you, messing things up for them.
Well, I think it's getting old. Like, we see what he's doing to Trump. People are just like, who cares what they say now? Let's just get business. Let's get work done. Let's get the country back. And I think that's more people like you that are strong in principle. They're standing up like, I'm done. I've seen enough.
Yes.
And then when it comes to you, it's like, who cares? Let them attack them. They're stupid. Let that be their crisis. And then,
but
it is unfortunate. It's like, leave their family alone at least. I mean, get a.
They don't. They don't
have
care.
Zero morals.
You saw how they went after Barron. Saying that that because he was tall, super tall, that there was something going on with him, or
so stupid.
That because you never really hear him speaking about anything. That he must have something wrong with him, and they were just making insinuations like maybe he has something wrong, and it's just he's a totally normal dude. Just why are you talking about a 13-year-old? And I think he was 13 at that time when they were talking about him.
It's creepy, is what normal. Any normal human being would be like, that's weird.
And
for them to do, that's weird. But it is uncomfortable as a family. It's like if that was my child, I'd show up. I'd be like, what do you? Leave them out of it.
Of
Nuts.
course, and that's it's a difficult thing. So it's like it's a lot of mudslinging, a lot of that. But another thing too is like, say I got elected to Congress and I was getting sworn in, and like the president had to be there, and like whatever, and then he's like, oh, these are kids. And then I would be like, oh, yeah, this ain't going to happen for me. Like, then I would promptly be kicked out of Congress shortly after being sworn in because I would catch Joe Biden sniffing my daughter's hair or running his hands down my son's head or something super weird, like weirdos do.
You gotta quit thinking like this.
You know what I mean? But that's what it is. What it is.
Reality.
Like, it's not like there's just like 1 or 2 videos.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
There's like 200 videos.
No. And see, why don't you talk? They don't talk about that.
They don't.
That's something worth talking about. That's weird behavior.
He was holding hands with somebody.
Was it somebody's daughter?
He was just holding hands with. Yes, recently. Like it just.
Now it was like a world leader or a senator or something.
Man, she's just walking the old man around the garden outside of the nursing home, just taking him around for a walk, so he can swallow all his pills and.
All right, back to the border.
So the border cleanups, nuts. Obviously, the Del Rio cleanup was just bananas, and there was 25,000 people living underneath that bridge. They were cutting down what they call river cane. It almost looks like sugar cane, but it grows like on the banks of the Rio. They were cutting down tree branches. They were making teepees. Their women gave birth underneath the bridge.
This is their community now.
There was a legit shanty community, like 100%. They had people like running business out of their commerce, running food back and forth from across the Rio from the Mexican supermarkets over there, bringing hot food, bringing soda, bringing diapers, because the Border Patrol was so overwhelmed, they couldn't provide the basic necessities for these people. The reason why they were sleeping under the bridge was because the Border Patrol processing facility was full and was overcrowded, so they had nowhere for them to go, and they were rushing the border. So they literally couldn't bust them out from underneath that bridge fast enough. And one of the problems with that was like when I did the pre-cleanup, when I went out there to Del Rio to check it out, you used to be able to walk right up to the wall, and the people would come across the Rio, and then there's like a half a mile of a wooded area and open space where it's federal land before you get to the wall. So the Rio is the border. not the wall. The Rio's the border. Then there's maybe half a mile, quarter mile, something, third of a mile space in between the Rio and the actual wall that's on a road that you're driving on. So what was happening before is these Haitians and, people, mostly Haitians, but people from Venezuela, Nicaragua, et cetera, Cuba, coming across, and they would walk right up to the wall. So you could literally pull your car off the side of the road, walk 20 feet and be like, hey, what's going on? And hand them a water through the wall, right? And there's little kids and they're, you know what I'm saying? So when I was there the first time, that's how it was. So I come back for the cleanup, and the group that came with me, they're like, hey, as soon as we land, they're like, hey, we want to see the wall. We've never been, we want to see it. So we drive over there, and we're driving up and down, and there's nobody coming to the wall. And the last time I was there was just nonstop people come to the wall. I'm like, man, that's super weird. There's no one coming to the wall anymore. So I come to find out the reason why they weren't coming to the wall is because the Border Patrol was funneling them under the bridge. Oh. They didn't want them coming to the wall anymore because it was creating bad optics. The news was starting to set up cameras there, and people like myself and freelancers were coming up and just recording people coming to the wall, and it was hundreds of them and kids.
We can't have that.
Of course not. So the idea was cut them off as soon as they crossed the Rio, funnel them under the bridge, and then send buses back and then just bust them out. So you can't see under the bridge from the road.
The Border Patrol wanted this? I mean, just to stop media, but they don't. They know they're coming anyway.
The Border Patrol is just taking orders. Obviously, comes from higher up. They don't want those optics, so they're like, "Hey,
what?" So it shows up on the news. They get a call.
What can we do to prevent these hundreds of thousands and thousands of people from walking right up to the road, basically, and like just standing there, like, "Help!"
Oh my God!
And people are like driving by. There's businesses, commercial businesses on the other side of this road. I think it's called Frontera Street in Del Rio. You can You go on Google Maps, Street View, Frontera Street, Del Rio, and you will see the wall right there. You might even see people on Street View standing at the wall. I haven't even looked, but I should probably check that out just to see. So we cleaned. So anyway, they stopped coming to the wall, and I'm like, Sheriff, why aren't there anybody coming to the wall anymore? He's like, oh.
Funny you ask.
We're going to have you clean under this spot, and then you will have your answer to that question. So I'm like, okay. So we go underneath there and clean, and sure enough, at that point, there was 850 people living under the bridge, and then it ballooned all the way up to 25,000 within a week.
That's nuts. 25,000?
25,000 people. That's like the village of Tequesta living underneath the bridge in Del Rio.
That's a bigger city. In fact, or I mean, like a town.
It was a legit, yeah. I mean, think about that. 25,000 people.
A lot of people.
All living underneath that bridge. And then, so when we were cleaning up, we were all live on Facebook. There's 5 of us, 5 different Facebook and Instagram streams, people, 5 different networks of people all asking, what the hell is going on? Where are you guys?
Didn't like those, right?
Of course not. Okay. Those were being shadow banned. So what winds up happening is people start texting the videos and sharing it. And then eventually Facebook can't control it anymore. Good. Because too many people are viewing it. And then it went viral. So then the news found out, right? So how Fox News actually found out about this happening wasn't through social media, right? That was after the fact. We got kicked out at 3:00 from the cleanup. They're like, all right, boys, that's enough. You got to go. Border Patrol,
because they found out?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I guess they just were like, enough.
How much trash did you get out in that time?
Thousands of pounds. We filled up 20, 30-yard roll-offs to the top, garbage bags galore. I wasn't able to get an exact amount because we didn't have a garbage truck. Yeah. So when we had the garbage truck, we know you fill this garbage truck up, it's it's going to be 26 tons, but we did multiple trips. Okay. Anyway, there was thousands of pounds of garbage. It was insane.
In comparison to Baltimore, just going 20 blocks. I mean, how many tons do you think?
Baltimore, the trash was more widespread.
Yeah.
This was just in one spot, and it was much nastier garbage.
So gross.
There was a lot of litter and construction debris in Baltimore.
You're wearing masks and stuff, right? There's got to be feces. I don't know.
No, there was human feces. I mean, like I said, there's people giving birth underneath the bridge. So, I mean, they were pulling ambulances out of there, bringing people to Del Rio Hospital. 100%. So we left there at 3:00. They're like, you got to go.
Okay.
So it doesn't get dark in that area of Texas till 9:00 or 10:00. It's nuts. I have video. It says 9:45. The sun's still. You can still see it's not dark yet. Mm-hmm. So it's 3:00. Let's go back to day one's cleanup spot, and let's see if it's already destroyed. right? From this, so on 9/9, our first day, we were cleaning up on a private landowner on the Rio Grande, on her property. This is a spot that's a heavy trafficked spot. So we went there, and on day one, we're cleaning up. 30 minutes on the cleanup. Here comes people crossing the Rio. So we're standing there picking up trash on the Rio, mostly clothes. Most of all of the stuff that you're picking up is clothes, bags, shoes, garbage bags, backpacks, because what they're doing is when they cross the Rio, their clothes get soaked. They take their clothes off. They have a garbage bag with dry clothes in it. They dump the garbage. They take their wet clothes off, put their dry clothes on, drop the garbage bag, and then they keep walking.
It's weird how prepared they are, and they know what to do.
Oh, of
That's
course.
what I thought was just unusual.
I mean,
and they have all these things, new things too.
Oh yeah, I mean, almost.
What
I
is
mean,
your thoughts behind that?
If you look at almost all of my videos, I get into the clothes, and you can see I'm like, oh, brand new pair of shoes. Oh, here's a Gucci bag.
Do you believe that somebody's funding that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, yeah,
Okay.
it's 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this is big money for the cartel. Like, the cartel's making about 12 to 15,000 off of each immigrant. If you're coming from like Russia or China, it's about 50 grand.
Oh my goodness.
To get you in from over there. Like I said, there's people from over 130 countries crossing the border here. But the administration would make you think it's Cuba, it's Venezuela, and Nicaragua only. That's what they're saying. Like, that's what Joe Biden just said yesterday. These are the countries that are, that are coming here. It's not really Central America and South America anymore or whatever. Notice that he didn't mention that, 78 people from the FBI's, the terror watch list had crossed already this year that they've apprehended.
I heard that too. That's creepy.
Yeah, and what about the ones that they
don't
catch?
know. Yeah.
But anyway, so to go back to the cleanup. So we go back to day one's cleanup site, and there's, obviously clothes everywhere already. So we see some guys flying a drone there. And we're like, hey, what's up, guys? What's going on? And they're like, hey, what's going on? Who you guys with? They thought we were like with Texas DPS or like undercover. We're like, I just own a moving company. We're here doing cleanup. They're like, what?
Thought you were undercover.
I'm like, you guys are in the wrong place for this drone. There's nobody really out here right now. I'm like, you're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, we just came from we're on our second day of our cleanup, and we were just under the International Bridge in Del Rio. And right now, when we left, there was like 1,250 people there. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, there's 1,250 people. I think it's more like 2,500 people. That's just what the number that was written on a wet board that the Border Patrol had that they were taking.
Times that by 2 or 3.
Of course, like how the hell could they count that many people? Like 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, were they walking through a turnstile? Like, no, they're just rough estimating like what they believe it is, right? So like, it's ridiculous. So there's probably like 2,500 people there. So now. I tell the guys that are flying the drone, I'm like, I just want to let you know, like, this is going on. Here's video. They're like, holy shit. Drop that drone. Drop the drone. They're like, adios, amigo. We're out of here. And then if you remember back when this was like the lead story on Tucker for a week straight. This was like on every new international news. Every news outlet was leading with this story. It was like gigantic news. I had people like from Shanghai News messaging me on Instagram wanting to get like a story for their newspaper, which I politely said I don't speak to commies to them, and then blocked the person.
Oh,
but they so like this was a huge story, and and these people are freaking living underneath this bridge, and Fox News goes there. They get the drone up, and because you can't get, like I told you, it's like a half mile back. You can't get into federal. You need to. We were able to get there because we were escorted by police.
Yeah.
So they walked up to the wall. Like I said, you could park on the street, walk up to the wall, got their drone out, and they had to fly their drone. And that's when you saw the drone images from there. And that's when it was like breaking news.
Yeah, I remember.
Basic shanty town, and they were flying the drone. Then the FAA declared that a no-fly zone.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They're on
and that
that.
was like that. Within like an hour of the breaking news, FAA said that's a no-fly zone. They had to drop the drone.
It's scary how much involvement there is with the government.
Think about how the government
we got to get to the bottom.
just stopped a news agency from flying a drone over the International Bridge in Del Rio because they're housing 25,000 people underneath the bridge. So like, oh, we're just going to do a no-fly zone real quick. Like, how is that even legal?
I don't.
Did like the president just pick up a phone and say, you got to do something, make that a no-fly zone. We can't have this news getting out. Click. And they're like, oh, shit. make it a no-fly zone.
I was gonna make a raid joke call, but let's leave it there.
So they
Can you raid?
exactly. So they make it a no-fly zone. Fox News has to drop the drone. Mm-hmm. So then that's when Bill Maloogian like really came onto the scene. He was the person that broke the story there, and next thing you know, he's up in a Texas DPS helicopter flying over the Rio, and they were not going to like deny him of getting that shot. And that's when it was just like took the nation by storm. Like, holy shit, this is a full-on shanty village in Del Rio, Texas, in the United States of America. Mm-hmm. And it was nuts, right? So it was nuts.
That is nuts.
So that was that, and that was that cleanup, right? But the first day of that cleanup, when I told you we went back to that area, day one, we're there an hour, sometime within an hour, may have been 30 minutes. We just got started with this cleanup. I see a guy come down on horseback on the Mexico side, full-on cowboy, hat, the whole 9 yards, coming down the mountain. I'm like, hey guys, you see that guy on horseback? Like, what's going on? What's this dude? He's checking us out. You know, we're like, hey, amigo, like, what's up? And he's just sitting there.
Like a real cowboy type.
Bro, dressed
like a
in
whistle
full,
could have went off?
I mean, he had the hat, he had the freaking stirrup.
Oh my God.
Just sitting up like the Marlboro Man on the other side, right?
Yeah.
And we're staring at him, and we're just looking, we're just picking up trash. We're like, basura, you know, like whatever, being, you know, just being retards. Just be trying to, yeah, like, but, so, and that's what we were doing, picking up trash. So he's just standing there. Next thing you know, we see these group of people, like 5 people come out from the bushes, and they get to the middle of the Rio. And then I'm like, oh my God, these people, like now we're recording. I'm like, these people are going to cross right in front of us, right? So like we're picking up trash. Next thing you know, I'm recording. Here come these 5 people. They get to the middle of the Rio Grande. 2 of them go back to Mexico. And next thing you know, here come these 3 people. And we are pulling them out of the Rio Grande. It was a husband and wife and a younger kid. There were 2 older husband and wife, probably in their late 50s.
They always send a kid with them too, right?
But this kid, he wasn't a kid. He was probably like his early 20s. He looked like he might be 21 or 22 years old.
They're just letting anybody in now.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, and if this is the video.
Yes, here. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and there's the cowboy up there on horseback.
Oh, this is like a movie.
Yep. I mean, so
You described it perfect, by the way.
This is from start to finish. This is, you're watching illegal immigration when Corinne Jean-Pierre says, they're not walking across the border. No, that's ridiculous.
But they are. They're right there.
Looks like those people are walking across the border.
I
know,
insane.
because
this is a good footage.
We pulled them out. And now I'm learning from hearing from news people.
I wonder, since you yelled at him, he thought it was okay and they just made their way down.
Yeah, it's okay.
Come on. We got water. And
He probably couldn't even hear me.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so if he fast forwards it, you'll see, if you want to fast forward, you can drag it. It's a lot of walking. And then we're like right there. I don't know if you can fast forward it from there.
So this is where they would drop their IDs at this point?
Yeah, or some point in there or on the ground. In a couple of seconds there, you'll see we're literally pulling them out.
That's
of
crazy.
The water. It was nuts, and they're like out of breath.
They're
like where are you from? Venezuela. Venezuela. One guy gets on his knees, starts crying.
Oh no.
Then they're cursing Maduro. They're so happy to be here, etc.
Oh. Really? So they were Venezuelans.
They were Venezuelans.
Okay, they
yeah.
were. Okay.
Well, it seemed pretty goddamn authentic to me.
Pretty good. Okay.
I mean, as soon as I said, where are you from? They're Venezuela. I'm like, how long did it take you to get here? And if you watch the video, they talk about it a little bit. And then I'm like, what about Maduro? And he's like, one guy's like, the older man's like, fuck Maduro.
He did mess that up.
He was, yeah, he was
there.
He was, yeah, it is. He was pissed. So literally pulling people out of the Rio Grande. Then the next day we go to do the cleanup. It's underneath that bridge. And then that happened. So on the 11th, we did like a smaller cleanup at inland inside the town of Del Rio. It was like an abandoned car wash that was across the street from an NGO, which non-governmental organization. Those are the groups that help get the people into the United States, get them set up, etc. So across the street was an abandoned car wash, and there was a bunch of trash there, and we cleaned that up, and then we presented the check for $10,000 to Sheriff Joe and Valverde County. And then went back home. So
Wow.
I was actually on Tucker Carlson for that cleanup. And how I was able to get on Tucker Carlson is, I see he's leading every night with this story.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting in my house like, God, I was under that bridge when no one was there. Like, I have video that no one has.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy video. Like, we were talking to Haitians. Most Haitians speak Spanish, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a guy that spoke Spanish, and he was talking to them, asking them about why they came here and if they love Joe Biden and if they're vaccinated. And we were asking them all the questions that were hot.
I answer? Or?
Yeah, they don't want they would not take the vaccines if it was offered to them. Most of it was because of religious preference. They love Joe Biden. If you have a video, it's posted on my social media.
I'm not going
of them
absolutely.
literally talking about it, about how much they love Joe Biden, how he's a great president, how he's a caring president, and the reason why they're here is because of him.
Interesting.
So it's pretty. Hashtag let's go, Brandon.
What are you doing?
So yeah. So I got on Tucker because I'm sitting on my couch watching Tucker talk about the bridge, and I'm like, I have to get these videos to him. So I'm like sending him messages on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on everywhere you can. He doesn't manage his own social media, right? Like, that's his team, and none of those people ever respond to messages that are sent to their social media pages. So I'm trying to find an email somewhere online, and I'm like, I have this background search app that I background search people with, like employees for their hiring. I'm like, let me throw his name in there. Throw his name in there, get a cell phone number, text him. Start sending him pictures and video from the border.
Nice.
He responds back, who is this? Question mark. I'm like, my name's John Rourke. I do these cleanups every year. This is who I am. This is what I do. These videos are from underneath the bridge in Del Rio. Before you guys were there, I actually told your cameramen to go there. They were at a different property. And he was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. Would you consider coming on my show? If you give me your name, I'll pass it along to my producers, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, I can't believe, is this really Tucker Carlson? He's like, yes, it's really Tucker Carlson.
So
I'm
cool.
like, I can't believe this stupid app I have worked. He's like, I've had the same number for 25 years. I can't bear to change it.
Now everybody knows how to get Tucker's name.
And I gave him I sent him the link on how to remove your name from the site.
Oh,
I'm
good.
like,
No, stop.
here's the link. You should probably remove your name from the site. So, but anyway, I still text him now. Like, we text each other back and forth every once in a while. I texted him this morning.
He's a nice guy.
Letting him know about the dog rescue that we're going to do in Eagle Pass.
Oh, nice.
So got on Tucker, was on a show, talked about it. He has it pulled up right here. It's freaking nuts.
Trash pickup along the border. No one else was doing it. John Rourke joins us now. John, thanks so much for coming on. I admire what you've done. Tell us what you did and why.
So thanks for having me on, Tucker. So I flew a group of, I own Blue Line Moving in Jupiter, Florida. It's a moving company. Every year we do a different cleanup in a different city throughout the United States. In 2019, we cleaned up inner city Baltimore after the whole Trump tweeting about it. We were able to pick up 26 tons of garbage in that city. 2 guys overdosed right in front of us 15 minutes into our first day. We Narcan them back to life. So that Baltimore is crazy. I didn't think anything could be crazier than that. And then we went to Del Rio. So I flew a group of us out there, veterans, some active duty guys, and we started picking up trash along the southern border. We went there for 9/11. Never forget. So many people died on that day, and this is what we felt like we could do to respect those people. And we flew out there and we picked up thousands of pounds of garbage along the southern border. Our first day, 9/10, we were literally picking up garbage, and in 15 minutes, I pulled with some of my guys, we pulled 3 people out of the river. We went from picking up trash to pulling people from the river from Venezuela. The next day on 9/11, I was underneath that bridge, and I see Maxine Waters and Kamala Harris talking about what they seen. Well, let me tell you what I saw. I saw people washing babies in the Rio Grande. I saw babies, breastfeeding babies, sleeping in dirt, 107 degrees outside, red ants everywhere, real coyotes, the ones that have 4 legs walking around. It was like Naked and Afraid, Southern Border Edition out there. People are literally knocking down trees and setting up lean-tos and teepees and sleeping under those. They come and go back and forth from Mexico as if me or you walk across the street. There's nobody there to stop them. We spoke to a ton of them. About 85% of the people underneath that bridge were Haitian. The majority of them were coming to South Florida. A lot of them are going to Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, Orlando. I asked them about COVID-19. Peter Ducey said, is there anybody there checking to see if they have their vaccines or if they have COVID or anything like that? I was there. I was asking them about whether or not they had been vaccinated, if their vaccine was available. Would they take it? Emphatically said no, they would not take it. A lot of them cited religious beliefs on the reason why they wouldn't take it. They're coming here because where they're coming from is so poor, and they want the opportunity they feel like this is the opportunity now with the Biden administration to leave the countries that they've been living in Central America, places like Chile, and come here now. And they told me to my face, the reason why we're here is because of Joe Biden is allowing us to come here. He's a very humble man. He has a big heart. He loves the Haitian people, and we love him. It was almost like I was at the biggest Biden rally I've ever been to. Everybody that was there speaking about Joe Biden. They loved him.
Yeah, well, that's the entire point. John Rourke.
And Kamala Harris talking about the border. I'm sorry, Kamala Harris throwing these Border Patrol agents under the bus. You have got to be kidding me, Tucker. I mean, these people are working 16-hour days, and they get that. That's the respect they get from the person.
That's what upset me too.
The border. It's despicable.
And it's left to you, who lives in Jupiter, Florida, which is nowhere near Del Rio, Texas, to clean up the mess that the administration made, people who claim to care about the environment. How long before Americans start to take border enforcement into their own hands? God knows.
Some
Anyway,
of the
John
people
Rourke.
along the border are doing that.
There was an organization, isn't there?
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Tucker.
Very cool.
But first, a reminder.
Get goosebumps, man. That was nuts. I really do. I have goosebumps because it's crazy. Do you understand how crazy that is?
Just the video makes
25,000 people living under a bridge in Del Rio, Texas.
And nobody's doing anything except for you. I mean,
we legitimately have people in Martha's Vineyard. There were up in arms over 48 people.
Was it 50 or 48?
It was 48 people.
That's it.
48 people, and in 48 hours had them on an army base deported from Martha's Vineyard. I was under a bridge where when I was there had to have been at least 2,500 people, if not more, and it swelled in a week to 25,000 people.
That's what's scary.
People giving birth to American citizens.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is and the news media, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, CNN, they are literally, this is the coverage now we're getting of the border, is of Martha's Vineyard and the Naval Observatory.
And how wrong it was of them to do.
Oh, it's it's not about
so bad. Yeah,
so bad. But it's not wrong that there's literally Venezuelan immigrants sleeping on the streets tonight in El Paso and all throughout the country, mind you. I mean, this is just what you're seeing right now is in El Paso, but these people are being shipped all over the United States, and in a lot of these places, they wind up becoming homeless, part of the homeless population, because they're going to places who are already overwhelmed. Okay, there's people sleeping on the streets in Eagle Pass. Every border town has illegal immigrants sleeping in their streets. Every single border town.
Is there any way to even have a rough estimate of how many there's been so far?
That have crossed in the last... So in the last 18 months, they are saying it's about 4.5 to 5 million. And that's just what we know about.
You know, I watched the video. What's her name? Logan or something?
Laura Logan.
Laura Logan's video about how they're trying to hit 10 million or something.
Yeah, so I mean, it is a...
And this is or during the administration to do it.
So while I was
I
was down here for the last cleanup in Eagle Pass, you know, I've gotten better with being more comfortable being able to talk to media people and police officers just from doing the last couple of cleanups. I've kind of just, you know, it's just a different vibe when you're down there doing a cleanup and these people are here to help you, and it's just, you know, you want to also shine a light, but you know, it's like part of what I want to do is I want to clean up trash there, but I also want to shine a light to Americans to show people how really bad it is, right? So it's like when you're working with the police, it's a fine line between, like, you know, taking too much or going too far and trying to get a shot of something, you know what I'm saying? And like not getting Border Patrol agents on camera so, you know, it is what it is. But like I've gotten better with it, you know, over the last couple of cleanups, and going down to do this cleanup in Eagle Pass, you know, I made a lot of connections down there with a lot of police officers now, sheriff's deputies and media types. And one of the media guys that I was talking to while I was down there was, you know, he's like, I've been doing this for 25 years for this company. And he's like, I'm from Mexico. And he's like, you know, what's happening right now that no one is talking about is the people that are coming from Nicaragua, Venezuela, and Cuba now are the poorest of the populations of these countries. So the people that escaped those countries with wealth and education left a long time ago, years ago.
What's a long time? Oh, years.
Years, a couple of years, 2 years. 2 to 3 years ago, he said, you were getting an influx of people that were coming across the border with $10,000, $15,000 in cash in their pockets, in their backpacks. Now you're getting people that are coming across the border with no money at all, right? So he's like, no education, they don't speak English. Whereas a couple of years ago, you were getting the wealthy, educated people who were fleeing these countries. They were the first to go. They had the abilities to be able to do that. So now what's happening is countries like Venezuela are releasing their prison population. They're releasing the poor population, and they're funneling those people now into our country. So,
That's so disgusting.
So this is my opinion only.
Okay.
Right. So like, I do believe that China is behind all of this. I believe that China is working with Venezuela to basically
flood us
with very bad people, and to also be able to change the way that the voting demographics of certain areas, right? So
they have areas that they're told to go to.
Yes.
By these, in the new shoes and everything. Something weird's going on. I mean, we knew that a couple of years ago. It's getting way more weird.
When I was in Del Rio,
it's
we
really
talked.
Set up.
Oh, it is. When I was in Del Rio, we talked to some of the people that crossed, and they said that there's a supermarket on the Mexican side that just you're allowed to go in there and get the basic necessities, and it's on like a credit system, so they can get whatever they want, and someone is paying.
To figure this out.
Yeah, but it's in Mexico, so nobody's trying to figure that out.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? It's
no, I'm kidding.
It's not over there.
No, I'm kidding.
Well, go head on over to that grocery store.
Just kidding,
and
see what
John. Yeah. So like the cartels are running that whole area. Like anywhere where people are coming through en masse, the cartels control that other side. You know what I'm saying? They're funneling those people through that area. And it's big business right now. So it works out great for the cartels because the cartels are going to smuggle in the Chinese fentanyl. It works great for the Chinese because they're hurting America. So they're killing our population at a record pace, our youth at a record pace. You know what I'm saying? Right now, fentanyl overdoses is the number one cause of death in youth. Most of the fentanyl in the world comes from China and is smuggled across our southern border through coyotes and through people that are coming across illegally. So if you can't pay that $12 to $15K to cross the border, well, you got to work for the cartel then. You know what I mean? So you got to smuggle drugs, or you have to come over when you get over to the American side. You have to work for them on this side, whatever the case may be. They're getting their money. So you're indentured servitude now, you know. So that's what's happening. So they're basically creating like a slave nation. But these people that are coming here right now, okay, and the sheriff of Maverick County, Sheriff Tom Schmerber, he's the Maverick County Sheriff, which is where Eagle Pass is. He's a retired 26-year Border Patrol agent, and now he's the sheriff of Maverick County. He said this is by far the worst he's ever seen it. It's not even close. Not even close. 26 years as a Border Patrol agent. Not even close. He's like, this is like nothing I've ever seen. He's like, and the people that are coming here now have no skill sets. They can't speak English. They don't have any kind of an education, a high school education or anything. A lot of them are illiterate, can't even read.
Our schools are already terrible.
Correct. They can't. A lot of them can't read. So you're talking about, and a lot of them are mostly military-age men. So these are military-age men that come here with no skill sets. They come here. They don't speak English. Most of them don't have any kind of an education. A lot of them that can't even read. So they're coming here, and what are they doing? They're immediately getting on government assistance, even though the government will say they're not giving them assistance, even though processing them across the border and then putting them on a plane or a bus somewhere else is assistance. But I mean, the government's paying. That is government assistance. But the government assistance we mean is like EBT cards, cell phones, a hotel stay, stuff like that. So they're definitely doing that. And they might not necessarily be doing that directly, like through payment from Homeland Security or something. But though they might be too, buying the airline tickets through Homeland Security. I don't know exactly how that's working, but they're funding it. And then you have these NGOs that are paying for a lot of this stuff too, but they're receiving government grants. So you're an NGO. This is what your game is. You're making your money on the border by bringing in illegals and helping smuggle them into the United States. So the government is going to give your non-for-profit grants. So technically, I mean, yeah, they're using government assistance any which way you want to slice it. You could break it down however you want to break it down. We're paying for it, all of us, through our tax money. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So
that's crazy.
And that is how it works. You know what I mean? Like they're getting rid of their IDs. You can't vet these people. You can't tell where they're from. Like if they had their ID and you could run their name, then maybe you can see if they had a criminal background. But if you don't have any ID or any way to determine who you are, then you can be anyone you want to be. And that's a major problem.
That's scary. That's
well,
crazy.
You have a lot of Middle Easterners that look like Central Americans too. And they blend right in.
That's not good.
So they get in through that way too. You know what I mean? They act like they're, from Nicaragua, or they act like they're from somewhere. They don't talk. They don't say. It's just there's so many ways.
And they already found 75 of them.
78.
78, excuse me.
Yeah, everyone counts. Every terrorist counts. Remember, there was only 19 terrorists that took over on 9/11, took over the planes. So there's 78 that have already been captured this year. So think about the ones
scapegoats.
Think about the ones that didn't, that made it across and didn't get captured, which is who the hell knows. So I mean, the thing that really, I don't like either is the Chinese that are coming through the southern border. When I was in Del Rio, I have pictures and video of an American company flying a Chinese flag in front of their business, which we took the flag down and replaced it with an American flag, but
nice.
They were flying a Chinese flag in front of their business right on the border. I mean,
That's gotta tell you something.
If you go to Google Street View right now, I guarantee you type in safety systems. Is it Jason? I'll think of it in a second. And you type in the name. They're on Frontera Street. It's they're on that same street.
That's what you're talking. Oh,
they have a Chinese. Joyson Safety Systems is the name of the company. So if you went to Joyson Safety Systems on Street View, you put Joyson Safety Systems Del Rio, and you pull up Street View, you could pull it in front and you would see the Chinese flag, I believe, unless they had it changed. But I've done it before and you can see it right there. So, I mean, they're flying Chinese flag in front of businesses right on the border. You have Chinese nationals that are crossing. If I'm a Chinese national, let's just say I was crossing illegally into China and I saw a business on the border in China that had an American flag flying. It was the only business that had an American flag flying it. I would probably go there and just be like, Americans, hey, can you help me out? I just came across the border. Like,
yeah,
that's the way I look at it. When I say the same thing, like if I was Chinese and I was crossing the border into the United States, that would be maybe if I didn't, like I'm just trying to get across the border or whatever, I'm going there. Like, who knows? Are they working with, I just found out the Chinese government bought a ton of land in Del Rio on the border. They're buying these ranchers out. So think about this. No one talks about this. This is another thing no one talks about. The ranchers can't sell their land. No one wants to buy it because no one wants to deal with the border problems. They want to sell their ranch land because they are tired of dealing with the illegal crossings that are literally destroying their properties with clothes and garbage and coming all hours of the night and stealing everything.
Too.
They're stealing everything from their barns, from their houses. They're breaking into their cars. It's every single night, right? So, and it's dangerous. You never know who's coming into your property. You just never know, right? So no one wants to buy that land, but there is someone that wants to buy that land.
Chinese.
Yeah, they're going to go ahead and buy that land. So they're buying all these ranch lands out on the border. So they're buying up all this land because these ranchers have no one else to sell to but them. And they're like, fuck it. You're giving me this money, I'm out. No one needs to know this, and who cares? So they're buying up acres of land on the border, too.
They're buying up land everywhere across the United States, but that's a big concern.
It is. I mean, right on the border.
They have some kind of connection to helping people pour into.
Of course. And all the fentanyl comes from China. And now China's buying land on the border.
What is with why fentanyl? So gross.
Yeah, I mean, but people are dying. They're just putting it into all different kinds of drugs, and then you don't even realize that you're taking it and you're overdosed. I mean, I've seen the effects of fentanyl. Those two guys that overdosed were, fentanyl.
We had people, I keep seeing people pop up on Facebook, oh, they died overdose. Or they don't really talk about it too much.
Sure.
But it's like, that's fentanyl.
Yeah.
Fentanyl.
It really is.
Yesterday, somebody in Florida died from the medical dispensary Trulieve, where they overdosed on fentanyl.
Wait,
Really?
from where?
Trulieve.
Oh, not from getting products there.
Yeah, they went into Trulieve,
Got
What?
marijuana?
they got marijuana, and there was fentanyl in it. One person died. The other one's on a respirator.
What?
There's a Trulieve in New York. The same thing happened.
Wow.
Why-
So they have
How'd
now
that get in there? Now they're infiltrating marijuana?
they've infiltrated like.
The medical dispensaries,
Oh my gosh.
which is nuts here because in Florida,
Well, that's
going to
destroy that.
There's only one grower allowed.
Yeah.
Only one.
Mm-hmm.
So the other companies, they didn't get it. So there's something going on between
I always thought there was
Trulieve
6.
and that. No, there's only one.
Wow, man.
Unfortunately, I know because I went to the lobbyists.
No, that's well,
But
that's
it's all-
something to look into.
It's
I
a,
didn't know
well,
that.
it's just a whole thing. You know what I mean? Like it's just these are the
They're
things.
hitting every angle. It seems like for
These are the things no one thinks about because the media just talks about the people coming across. It's always about the people. It's always about the people.
and there's not that many people too. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, right.
I mean, they're dressing
Fox
down
News
everything.
reports it straight as far as how many people are crossing.
No, Fox is good. Yeah.
The other stations you wouldn't even know that there
That's
was a
going
border
on.
invasion happening if you watch CNN. And that's part of the reason why I go to the border.
Well, I
because-
heard they went to Martha Stewart, Martha Vineyard.
Martha Stewart
Not
in
Martha
Martha's
Stewart.
Vineyard. She probably has a house there for sure.
Martha's Vineyard off CNN.
Yeah.
They covered that.
Oh, of course they did. 100%. CNN would be anywhere where they can get their viewers to tune in. That's something. Ooh, Martha's Vineyard? We'll get people to look just because it says Martha's Vineyard. But Eagle Pass, everyone's like, ugh, who cares about those people down there?
Oh my gosh, that's so gross.
That's like basically Mexico. That's what people
But they're
like
not
say.
just stopping there. Like you said, they're shipping them out, flying them out, busing them out everywhere.
But now there's so many that they are there. I mean,
yeah, they're setting
there
up a
are
shop.
oh my God, yeah. Like you can't. I have videos all over my social media. I'm just driving down the road and literally, I was leaving Eagle Pass to go to Del Rio to fly to the airport, and there's like 30 people walking down the side of the road. I'm like, I pulled into the middle lane, and I'm like, hey, honk, honk, honk. They're like, oh, Venezuela. I'm like, where are you from, Venezuela? I'm like, I got to go back. I made a U-turn, pull into a gas station, and they walked right up to me, and they started talking to me and recording. Where are you from? Why'd you come here? Blah, blah, blah. So, like,
This has been going on for years, though, like the influx of it. But now it sounds like it's just out of control.
when Trump was the president, he shut that shit down.
Yeah.
There was minimal people crossing. Don't let the media fool anybody.
No, not then. I mean, the last year. I mean, I had friends that were down there during, I think it wasn't during, right after COVID. Yeah, it'd be the 2020.
Yep.
The end of 2020. But they were recording people coming through. And the governor of New Mexico, I mean, lost it on the whole group. They were really upset that they were down there doing that. So that made it weird, too. But
Yep. Now, I mean, now
they
it's
were
just,
coming in droves, too. But
There's-
now that 25,000 in the week, that's crazy.
there's no border. I mean, there's like 1,500 people a day in Eagle Pass alone. That's just one little spot.
Do you
on
think the
Eagle
wall
Pass.
being finished would have helped?
Yeah, of course. Everywhere where the wall was finished, the numbers for illegal crossings were down like 95%.
So maybe they didn't obviously they didn't want the wall.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like,
Now we
you're
know why.
just gonna go to where the wall isn't.
Oh, man.
It's pretty straightforward. Like, I'm gonna try and cross the easiest possible place. Like, if I know that Joe Biden has stopped the government from building the wall, and if I walk 6 miles along this wall, I know it ends. Just walk right around it. Yeah, I'm not gonna try and dig a hole under the ground and go underneath it. I'm not gonna scale. It's 30 feet high. Like, I'll just walk. I've walked from Columbia to here.
Why not?
I think another 5 or 6 miles to get around the wall, I can make it.
That's-
So that's what they're doing. I mean, there's videos all over the internet. There's a guy, Jorge Ventura from the Daily Caller, who's doing great work on the border. Follow him on Instagram. And he shows you videos. They're just literally like in a snake formation, snaked all the way around the wall, just in a line, just waiting to get processed. Next, they're literally just out there. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, man. Like, it's insane.
That's crazy.
So this last Eagle Pass that we just did on 9/11, we raised $10,000 for Maverick County Sheriff's Department. We just donated that, and we picked up thousands of pounds of garbage again. I mean, we found there was a dead body out there. There was, we saw a child in a book bag trying to come across, and then the current was too strong. They had to turn back.
Child in a book bag? Like
the guy was carrying,
like
people were trying to cross, but the current was too strong, and they got in the middle. Airboats came, but they couldn't reach him, and then they turned back and went back into Mexico to try and find a different, but he had a 2-year-old and then like a child in a backpack that he was trying to cross with.
Geez.
So that's where they're at. You know, this is what they're doing. And they're just risking their lives. I think there's like up to 780 deaths, 785 deaths so far. I think there's 579 last year. And think about this. So that's just the people that they found.
That's what I was.
I mean, they're washed out down the Rio and like they're fish bait. You know what I'm saying? There's alligators in the Rio as well, and a lot of spots, not in the areas where they're crossing, but there's gators in there. I mean, so there's a lot of people that are not being found. You know what I mean? Like in my video where I'm basically videoing all of the IDs that we took from Panama, from Colombia, from Venezuela, from Cuba, from Mexico, from you name the country, Nicaragua, Honduras, like just from all over the damn place, right? It's crazy to think, like, as you're videoing these IDs, that some of these people could be dead. You didn't even think, and there was pictures like of kids, of children, like babies, in their ID. Several of those, and it's like you look at these IDs, and some of these people might not even be alive that you're videoing their IDs. You just don't even know.
That's so eerie too.
It really is.
I mean, just being there and seeing that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
You're going back to help puppies.
We're going back to rescue dogs
Cool.
in October. So when I was down there, one of the things you see is kind of like if you ever been to an island nation before, like the Bahamas or Puerto Rico or something, like there's just wild dogs all over the place on island nations. There's dogs all over, stray dogs. So same thing at the border. It's like a third world nation. I
didn't want to say that earlier, but I mean, it crossed my mind. It sounds very third world.
It is.
It
is very third world. I mean, that's
like I don't even know how you say that. They're building up to be a third world down there.
Well,
like, it's not, that's
pretty soon there's going to be more Venezuelans living in the United States than in Venezuela. So, and there's more Haitians living here than in Haiti, and more Cubans living here than in Cuba. Like, that's not right. Does that seem right to you?
Not
that there'd be more Cubans than living in Cuba? That's nuts.
The right way, yeah.
Like pretty soon there's going to be no one living there, because why would you live there if you can make it here? And you have your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, your family living here, or friends. Every Cuban has at least one person they know in the United States at this point that they can call, that can give them a room or get them a job. Let's be real about it. Same with the Haitian community. Like, go through every single restaurant in South Florida has at least one. Every restaurant has at least one Haitian working at it, like minimum. Like, there's work for them here. So that's why they're flocking. Like, you can't even go to a gas station in Miami if you speak English. Like, there are no places in Miami where people are just, everyone in there 100% speaks English. Like, that's nuts. That's great. And if you stop in there and you're like, hey, how much for this or how much for that? Or, hey, can I get directions to something? Even though you don't ask for directions anymore. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you went in there, they'd be like looking at you like, what's wrong? Why don't you speak Spanish?
That's happened to me before down.
It's happened to me
Miami.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're pissed that you don't speak Spanish. Like,
I love
Cuban
Cuban
food. Get the hell out of here.
So I go in there and I'm like,
oh, I mean, I love.
I
Cuban
took
food
Spanish for 9 years, but I didn't use it.
I'm half Puerto Rican. You know what I'm saying? Like, I am Spanish. I don't speak any Spanish, but it is what it is. What do you want from me? I'm half Puerto Rican. My mom's 100% Puerto Rican. So
cool.
But yeah, it's crazy, man. The amount of people that are coming across the border now. We're going there to pick up the dogs. Just dogs everywhere, all over the place. So I went down there. I met Bill Malusian, who's like the Fox News reporter from the border. He's their guy. He was down there, and funny, when he was reporting on the border, I got his number the same way I got Tucker's. I background searched him, got his number, and texted him and sent him the videos before I sent them to Tucker. I was trying to get him to see my videos and be like, holy crap, like, you were under the bridge. I couldn't even get in there. And he messaged me back like, oh my God, these are nuts. You know what I mean? And whatever the case may be. So I finally got to meet him, like, hey, what's up, man? I'm the person that texted you, the lunatic, that background searched your number and then texted you out of the blue. Hi, I'm here. But he was cool. Yeah. He's like, oh, dude, what's up, man? How's it going? I texted him, let him know, hey, I'm going to actually be in Eagle Pass. I'm doing another cleanup. And he was like, oh, dude, let's, if you see me, come up. So I met him, and anyway, and we were shooting the shit. And I was like, dude, what is going on with all these dogs? in a lot of his videos on Instagram, he always shows dogs coming up to him, whatever. He's like, I've actually gotten like 3 of these dogs adopted from out of here.
That's sweet. I'm
like, oh, that's nice. And then it hit me. I was like, I know the people that run Big Dog Ranch Rescue. Dude, we need to do a dog rescue here. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I know the people that own Big Dog Ranch Rescue. It's like a big dog rescue in Florida. They would love to come here and do a dog rescue.
Dog rescue.
Yeah. And then he was like, dude, that would be amazing. I'll do a story on it.
Nice.
I'm like, sweet. Let me make a call and let's set something up. So now we're going to do it. So now we're basically trying to work on Bill's schedule. Like, when can Bill be available to do the story? So it's going to be some point in October. We're going to go out there, partner with Big Dog Ranch.
Now, do you fundraise for this one? This is it.
Nope, I did. This is them.
This is the Big Dog.
This is their facility. So it says good. BDRR is expanding to Alabama. So what they did is they purchased, now that Greyhound racing is banned, that used to be a Greyhound facility. Oh. So where they had the Greyhound dogs that race at dog tracks and stuff.
West Palm? In there one?
No, this is in Alabama.
Oh, there was one.
Yeah.
In West Palm. Okay.
So they had a racetrack in West Palm. They don't race dogs there anymore. It's illegal.
That's what I thought. Okay.
So Big Dog Ranch Rescue bought this facility off of the old owners, and now it'll be ready to go to accept dogs October 1st. So now they'll be able to service like Texas, Oklahoma, some of the Midwest places where they couldn't get to before. So that's where they'll bring the dogs from the border, is to that facility.
Yeah, and if you find a chow chow, let me know.
Yeah. There's a lot of good boys like that.
Super mean.
I have a video on my...
Cutie.
I don't think I actually posted it. But
Apply for Beethoven. No.
There you go.
It's your dog.
So
you've been looking for.
So we're gonna go down there with Big Dog Ranch Rescue, and we're gonna go down there and try to rescue dogs. So we're not just gonna focus on Eagle Pass. We'll go to Del Rio, Eagle Pass, and I think the next border town over is Laredo, I believe. Mm-hmm. And we'll go to those 3 locations and hopefully get like somewhere from 40 to 60 dogs. They have a bus. She's bringing a veterinarian and a team of people. Most of these dogs are very friendly. They just walk right up to you.
Cute.
And you pet them. Hey, buddy, what's going on? They're just looking for food or whatever, looking for you to pet them. I didn't run into any dogs that were growling or mean or anything like that. They're all good dogs. But it is amazing the amount of dogs that are just running around.
That is crazy. Did you have video of that? Or maybe on your page, maybe.
I do, but I can show it to you.
Not
I can
like
send it to Tom.
Drone image of it.
No. I'll show you right now. I have a video here I can airdrop.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, there's random dogs. So like, part of it is too. And I talked to a Border Patrol agent in that area. A lot of people let their dogs at night off the leash too. So you get a lot of.
So you got to be careful not to take their dog.
Yes, but you can tell the difference. Airdrop. All right. It's looking for.
You can tell between the hungry.
Which one should I send it to? Tommy? MSCS iPad or Media MacBook Pro? I have SKRT's MacBook Pro, MSCS's iPad, MSCS Media, MacBook Pro, Mac M1X.
Hit the Pro.
Says waiting. But what's so weird too is like you're.
Just text it.
Okay, we're just driving around.
I'll cut all this out.
Okay.
Yeah. We're just driving around, and like we were coming back. There's a little casino there in Eagle Pass. There's an Indian reservation, and we were coming back from the casino, heading to our VRBO. The night of the first cleanup, maybe it was the second cleanup, whatever. So we're like stopped at a stop sign. We pull up to a stop sign. We're taking a right to like turn into the community, and I roll the window down. It's just a Great Dane sitting on the street corner, like chilling. Like, what's up? What you guys doing?
It's his corner.
11:30 at night. He's just sitting on the corner. No, I'm like, what are you? Hey, buddy. And he's just like looking at me like, I'm like, it's not often you're just driving anywhere and just see a Great Dane like just out, no owner, not dragging an owner down the street with them. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but
I know what you mean.
But there's just dogs everywhere. So we're going to go down there, rescue these dogs, and then they're going to bring them to that facility in Alabama. Veterinarian will get them right and go from there, man.
Cute. How can people get involved? Like if somebody wants to do a cleanup, I mean, is it kind of...
So,
are you doing that yet?
Yeah, so every year we do it on the same dates. So we do it on the 9th, the 10th, and the 11th. Every year on September 11th. Okay. That's part of what we do. So on September 11th we do this cleanup. So next year we will have a cleanup. They can reach out to me at, email john@bluelinemoving.net.
Okay, we'll put that on.
You can go to my website. Their email address is on there, etc. Social media, you can find us with Blue Line Moving, or my name, John Rourke, John J. Rourke on Instagram. Message me if you're interested in coming. It's a lot to ask for people to come to a cleanup, like from here to there. It costs like $2,000 essentially to go once you pay for a hotel, rental car,
Well, they
flights.
could even do their own fundraising to get them to go there too. Right?
Sure,
I would love to see this go all over.
I
Since
mean,
nobody else is doing anything.
No, exactly.
Get people involved.
Well, part of what I'm really trying to do, like the next level to like this whole thing is, I want to create, like, for instance, Chick-fil-A is from Atlanta, Starbucks from Seattle. Like, why hasn't Starbucks adopted Seattle? Like, and why isn't Starbucks, and like, for instance, there's 589 Starbucks, I believe, in New York City, right? So part of like my major plan would be to do these cleanups, would be to get like a company like Starbucks to dedicate one employee from all 589 locations in New York City. And every quarter, they're going to adopt 20 square blocks of the Bronx, or
kind of
wherever
like clean up a highway, clean up a city block or something.
Yeah, like I did 20 blocks in Baltimore, right, with a group of basically 8-9 people. Imagine if one employee had a paid day from every Starbucks location to go do a cleanup in a part of the city that Starbucks has said, we make a vow to the Bronx, this section of the Bronx. We will not let this section of the Bronx become a landfill. We're going to clean up. They're going to donate $1 million a year for 5 years. And part of that $1 million is going to be going to pressure cleaning, painting, redoing parks, whatever they can do inside this area with that money to make it better and cleaner and nicer. And then at least once a year, they're going to do a cleanup in that area where they're going to bring one employee from every one of their locations. And if they want to bring family members, they can bring Starbucks out there and pass out coffees and everything, and then pick up trash.
That's a great. It starts with the dream, John.
But you know what I'm saying? When is the last time you ever seen a CEO of any corporation ever like doing anything like this? Like, it's very easy to just write a check. That's like getting a gift card for somebody on their birthday. There's no thought in it. I
don't even do that.
I can just write a check for $5 million and go, oh, and everyone's like, oh, Starbucks. Meanwhile, they made $50 million off of that community. And half the garbage that's on the litter that's on the streets in that city is Starbucks cups and wrappers from their food. So, like, not that they put it there, but at the end of the day, it has their name on it.
How about Howard Stern? He got $1.8 billion.
Yep.
Howard Stern would oh my God, do a cleanup? Actually get outside and make an area in New York City look better?
He's a germphobe.
He's bad.
Is he? Oh. Like hold the handle with a cleaner?
He's a germaphobe, and I'm literally picking up human feces in Eagle Pass on the border. He's a germaphobe.
He is, really.
Please. I mean, get the...
He won't leave his house. They're working out.
He's not a germaphobe.
Did he double down?
He just doesn't give a shit. He's rich,
Did he freak out?
He just got another $400 million. He's there till 2030.
Good for him.
Good for him.
Get that money, Sonny. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they were going to give me that money, I'd take it too. But you know what? I would do a lot more than he does. He likes to write checks. I'm sure he's very generous and donates a lot of money. But anybody can donate money. These are all the dogs. I mean, this is Eagle Pass. I mean, you see the trash everywhere.
People.
Holy smoke.
There's our good friends from the National Guard. Hey, pup.
Oh, cutie.
Hey, buddy. Hi, bud. Hey, buddy. Doggies.
Oh, they're all pretty blue eyes. I love puppies. Dogs.
Hey, buddy. There's pups everywhere. Pups everywhere.
So were these that people let go, or are they coming from where are they from?
So they like to hang out where the National Guard are parked over there. So the National Guard are there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. Like, that's their station there to observe and report and assist with the people crossing.
Holy
so obviously, if you have someone there 24 hours, the dogs are going to congregate where the people are because they're feeding them and giving them water. But this is just one of the areas over at the border. I mean, this is not even a bad spot, but that's dogs, man. That's just one little area, and then you see the dogs just start running up to you.
This is Joe Biden's America. This is what's going on here.
It is,
when
man.
you talk to the
and
sheriff,
this is nothing. This is like
who, before becoming the sheriff,
there he is. But yeah, so we're gonna go back and hopefully pick that guy up. I'm sure he's still there. But it's just like, at the end of the day, man, it's really about motivating people to do something. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a nobody.
It makes a difference. And then to pay it forward about, and when you're in Baltimore, it's crazy.
People just
it does
think,
work when you get involved.
People just think that they can't, everybody can do something.
Absolutely.
Like, it requires just your time and effort to pick up garbage. And you don't have to go to another state or or a place like the border to do it. Like, just do it in your own community, man. Like, there's millions of things that people can do, but you got to do something, right? Like, too many people are being raised now to depend on the government, look to the government for answers. Like,
you're talking about that. It's
terrible. It's terrible. It's a major problem, and more people are becoming reliant on the government.
It goes on through generations.
Yeah, I mean,
I think they've been working on it too, because that's where their votes come from, and then once people are dependent, it's so much harder to get out.
We're in the weak man
to learn
phase.
how to be. Yes,
that's where we're at right now. We're in the weak man phase. So the phase is eventually going to turn into where, like, weak men become strong men, and become strong through bad times. So obviously, bad times are on the horizon. We have a border that's completely wide open. You have millions of people coming to this country illegally and being shipped to cities all around the United States with they literally have no education. A lot of them are criminals. They're all criminals because they crossed the border illegally. Right, the first thing they did when they came here was commit a crime by crossing our border illegally. They're fake asylum claims, which is illegal. But people just overlook those crimes. Like, that's not really like a crime. Crossing into a country illegally and then coming up with a fake story about why you need to be here and lying to a federal officer. That doesn't really matter.
Imagine if you did that.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Seriously.
Like, what if I wanted to cross into Mexico and I lied about what my claims were and lied who I was and everything about? I would be kicked out or be thrown in jail.
We went fishing in Mexico in the waters. What was it, Coronado Islands? Down there, and we had to get permits. We had to have everything just for each of us for that day. And sure as heck, they did pull up on us, and I'm like, here, like I got a selfie with them. But it was kind of scary. It was like, if you didn't have that, they're taking you into shore. You're done.
That's it.
And that's in the waters.
So and the liberals like to say, like, oh, they're just seeking asylum. So why don't they go to a port of entry? Why do they have no ID? Why do they throw their ID away?
You know how hard people work to get here and do that? That's who's most upset.
It's a spit in the face.
They're watching these people. It's terrible.
It's a spit in the face to those people that have spent
years, work so hard and earned
dollars,
so
their own money, hard work, doing it the right way.
So sad.
You know what I'm saying? So they don't have to live a life on the run. They want to do it the right way, right? So, but then you just have millions of people crossing, spitting in their face. Like, people, they're throwing away their IDs and they're crossing not through a point of entry. They're crossing over the Rio. It's for a reason. It's not because they're in fear for their life in Nicaragua or Venezuela. It's because they want to come here and work. They want to make money. They want their kids to go to our schools. They want health care. They want everything that they want the American dream, right? And
which is not going to be.
But they
keeps going
they want it the wrong way. Like, they're learning how to get the American dream the wrong way from step one.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
You know what I mean? It's like they're learning the wrong way. So these people are they're gonna have their kids, and it just passes down that whole thing.
But another thing, they've seen what happens to their governments when they go towards socialism, communism. So that's one thing I've noticed with a lot of the Cuban population is they are very conservative Republicans, because they see how a nation. I mean, what happens when you try to attempt to do that socialism? Well, Venezuela's getting a good taste of it too.
100%.
For years, and it's sad to see. But a lot of them are strong conservative Republicans saying, "Hey, we need to work. We need to be independent, interdependent." Actually, I noticed they're more interdependent than independent too.
And they
know that you have to be a community at one, but work for yourself and know yourself on another level.
And a lot of those Cubans that are that way. And think that way are here legally.
Yes, exactly.
Surprise!
Yeah. Well,
they're conservatives and they did it the right way. Shocker. You know what I'm saying? So it's
I do. It's crazy.
And that's the difference. It's just like we're just flooding our country with millions of people that need the government. And this is not how the nation was set up. It was set up for the limited government. For the people to be able to take care of stuff on their own, and
contribute.
They're converting. Like, when more people are receiving benefits and paying in, like, that's that's not good, right? Where does that lead? It leads to your Venezuela.
Yes.
It leads to your Cuba. Like, this is the road
That
that we're winding down, and people just don't see it. So that's why I like go to the cleanups and shine the light, and now people see it. At least people that I know.
No, that was amazing when I heard about you. I was like, yeah, I wanted to talk to John.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
it's really, I love that. And the blue line moving, that's my favorite too.
Yeah, man, that's what we do.
It's good stuff.
We move people nationwide, local,
I could see
long
this
distance.
spreading too, like even the adopted block or whatever for bigger companies to do would be amazing. But even just individuals going out once a year, like just a big movement, easy.
Why
and it's
not?
effective too.
Why not?
How
Ask
many
not
tons
what your
out of
country can
Baltimore?
do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Yeah,
Like, if more
Kennedy.
people think that way, this country would be a better place. Like, people are always asking, what can you do for me?
No.
Never the opposite way. They have no idea what selfless service is even. What is that? Like, there's like,
That's what built our country.
yeah. It's like, I retired from the Army. Like, I still want to give back. Even though I can't serve in the Army any longer, I still feel like I have a purpose and I can do more than just work, pay my bills, raise my children. Like, I can do more than that. And that's
it's
what this is all
fulfilling,
about.
too. It's
Of course it's fulfilling.
At the end of the day in the morning, you feel.
Listen,
I mean, people need to know that like hiding out and just taking checks isn't going to feel good in the long run.
I'm never going to be the type of person that can ever just like not do stuff like this.
Yeah, that's.
It's just the reason why I joined the Army. It's like it's I don't know. It's who I am. To my dad was the same way. You know what I'm saying? He was a cop for 20 years. He was in the Army. He ran he was the commander of the American Legion in Sequester for like 25 years. So he ran, like, that's just what he did until the day he died. Like, he's just always serving other people. And that's what we need to get back to. That's how I'm raising my children.
That's what we need more parents to do too, is show it. This is how we do it.
Don't let your kids, don't let the
involved.
iPad raise your children. Look at what they're learning in school. Ask them questions about what they were learned in school. What'd you learn in school today? Have dinner with them as much as you can. Like, this is what when we came back from World War II, people had dinner with their family.
That sounds unusual. No,
You know what I'm
but
saying? You
seriously,
were
actually,
married. You had issues. You know what you did?
You talked about
You
it.
worked it out. And you stayed married. You know why? Because you got kids.
What if
and
this
the
sounds
kids need
profound
it.
to people too? Like, why would you do that? But that's the way it should be, and that's the way it was.
And it doesn't. That's
We can
the way I
evolve
feel like
to
it should be.
technology, but that basic principle of those things should always
That
hold.
matters.
Yeah,
The dinners with
it
your
does.
kids matter. Asking them what they did in school today, that matters to them. You know what I mean? Being there for their baseball games, like being a part of their life, not just allowing them to be on a phone or a tablet all the time, reading books. Instead of having them on a tablet while they're in the car, why don't you bring a book? Like, that, it's just like, what did I do? There weren't tablets when I was a kid. Stared out the window.
Played the
Got-
ABC
tried
game.
to get people to honk their horns. Like, played yeah. Played games with your parents. Like, whatever, with your siblings. Like, I even notice it when I give my kids the tablets. Like, we don't totally, they're not totally banned from them. Like, our kids go on it, but we monitor it, and they're only allowed to do it for a certain amount of times. But when you go to take it away from them, you can see, even if they get it for like an hour or 45 minutes, they just become a different kid. When you go to take it away from them,
seen that,
they're like nasty. They're like, oh, and then like,
Well, it's addicting.
It's
like
addicting, and that's what it's about.
Cocaine out of someone's hand or something.
That
They're
is
like,
exactly correct.
Yeah.
So, and you can see it in the children, and and then like nobody talks about the mental health either. Like, we're in a mental health epidemic in this country, right? What about all those kids that are crossing the border? Like, watch their uncle die, their mom die.
sad.
They almost drowned. They had to literally raped. A lot of them. You find condoms, used condoms all over the border. So many used condoms.
That is.
In 10 or 15 years, what are those kids going to be like?
It's going to be a whole. You're going to have to. I mean, they have
Think
to
about
set up
that
a whole
trauma,
different
that
set of
PTSD.
things to get them through that.
Think about the PTSD. Like, if this video that you were just showing before, Tommy, and those kids that family from Nicaragua was walking up, the kid was just inconsolable. He just would not stop crying.
So
And
sad.
the sad part about it is I was trying to help him. Like, it's okay, buddy. You're strong. You're tough. I was rubbing his back. Like, you're going to be okay. He had a huge scar on his head, over the top of his head, from Nicaragua. And he was just crying and crying. And
Now it'll be shipped around 17 different times.
Oh, that's sad.
correct. So then you find out that the reason why he's crying, or at least what I was told, was that his dad and his younger baby brother when they were crossing the Rio, the Mexican police grabbed those two and got them. Oh. And they made it across, and they arrested the brother and the dad, and Mexico will deport you back to your home country. So his dad was getting deported, and his brother was getting deported, and he was crying because his dad was gone, his brother was gone. But then Border Patrol agent I was talking to was like, okay, I hear that a lot, buddy. You know what? That probably wasn't even his family, and that's probably why he was crying.
That's true. I've heard that too. They just set him up with anybody?
Yeah.
To get, because the kid, don't you need a kid to get in?
You're more likely
to get in if
to
you
get in,
child.
and things go your way if you have a child with you. And people are literally passing their children off to people
so they can come to
so
America
they can just come to America to get out of Nicaragua. It's so bad there, right?
Sad.
And I don't knock the people for coming. If I lived in Nicaragua, you bet your ass I'd be trying to come here too with my kids. I don't want my kids to live in
sympathize
Nicaragua.
with them, but
I understand it.
But
I get it.
It's long term. It's not good for anybody.
No, if you were in Nicaragua and you had children, you would be wanting to get
my
them.
kids would be here. I mean,
it is what it is.
I mean, I don't
right?
have kids, but
so
I imagine what I would do
I
to
understand
get them
it,
out of there.
and I'm not knocking them. But what I'm knocking is the government's inability to create a system that makes sense.
That's what everyone's frustrated with.
It's insane.
Yes, and they don't want to though. They almost want this chaos.
How many
some
people?
Of them.
How many congressmen? How many senators? How many government employees are we paying, and we still haven't figured it out?
It's almost intentional.
You remember the boat lift, the Mariel boat lift, the kid that got taken? You remember they were storming the house? What was that kid's name?
That was under Clinton, was it?
Yeah, this has been going on forever. There's always been a problem here. It's the worst it's ever been now. But
this is like a different level.
So when you when you get to thinking about it, then right. So then you get to thinking about. This has to be intentional.
That's what. Yeah.
How could you not figure it out?
How could you allow it to
I
get
can figure
worse,
it out.
That much worse?
I own a moving company. I have a high school diploma. That's where I'm at. I can figure it out. It's called you build a wall, and then you put technology on the wall or in the weak spots where you can't build a wall. You use natural barriers, and then how about this? Dredge the Rio Grande. I don't know. Is that a crazy thing to do?
John, that might work.
Dredge the Rio and make it deep, and then people will be less likely to cross it.
Yeah,
because they don't want to die.
Because
it's just there's so many different things that you can do, and they choose not to do any of those so many different things you can do. They just don't do any of it. They just wide open. Border Patrol agents, morale in the tank. They hate their jobs. You've worked a job, I'm sure, as we all have, where you wake up in the morning and you're just like, ugh, I do not want to go to this shitty ass job today.
Yeah, I usually put my.
But I got to pay those bills.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's where they're at. Every day is misery.
I can't imagine what they were going through.
Sweating.
That would be so intense.
Outside's 105 degrees. None of those Border Patrol agents want to live in Eagle Pass, let me tell you, because there's nothing going on there. And I mean nothing. If you coming from New York, which we had a Border Patrol agent's wife volunteered to pick up trash with us on 9/10. She's from New York, and they're stationed in Eagle Pass now. So there you go. I'm like, oh man, that must be wonderful for you. Coming from New York City to Eagle Pass. I'm like, oh,
what did she say?
What do you eat? Like, don't you guys I'm assuming you guys like to go out to nice dinners every once in a while? Like, catch a movie at, a movie theater not from 1973? Like, what are you doing? She's like, it's miserable. I have to live here. This place is horrible. It's horrible. Like, there's nothing to do. It's only fast food restaurants. That's it. So, like, these people have to live there. And then every day they wake up, they got to go to do that job where they're either rescuing people from a river or it's just every day's over.
That's got to be so over.
And then the vice president says that they're whipping people on horseback.
You remember, see, that what drives me nuts.
You remember when she said that? You remember that?
Why would you say that when they're doing their job?
Those were just, obviously, if you know anything about horses, those were just reins. But obviously, she's retarded and doesn't know a single thing about horses. So she doesn't understand that those are just reins. You're the vice president of the United States. The Border Patrol is whipping Haitian people on horseback. That's what they're doing.
Oh my God,
Tommy, bro, and no one cares. No one. The vice president the second most powerful person in the world, came out and said Border Patrol agents were whipping people on horseback. Maxine Waters, who's been a congresswoman for 250 years, said that it's worse than slavery.
She locks everybody up.
It's worse than slavery. She lives in a mansion behind a wall with armed guards. It's worse than slavery. And I talked to Border Patrol agents when I was just in Eagle Pass, and they said those guys, you know what those guys were relegated to do? The guys that were on horseback that were whipping people, you know they got in trouble. They are still picking up horse manure, cleaning out the stalls.
Oh my goodness.
That's what they have them doing right now. And they did nothing wrong. Nothing wrong.
That's sad.
They were just on reins trying to control the crowd because there's 30,000 Haitians living under a bridge.
Did you know that she locks everybody up? Everybody in the planet, and they voted for her?
Yeah, just like Joe Biden said, 9mm rounds will blow your lungs out of your body. Like, these people, do you understand? Like,
no, it's not funny. It's just.
It's like they don't. These are the people that are running our country. We have the president of the United States, the most powerful man in the world, is telling people that 9mm will blow your lungs out of your body. Like,
what a lot worse
planet
than
am
that,
I
though.
on? Like, and that's just a small thing that he says when he is saying something coherent. But
What cocktail would you say he's on? He's on a hell of a cocktail.
well, he's got to be on Adderall for sure. But I don't understand at his age how he can handle Adderall at that age. Like he had brain aneurysms before. So like
He's been sick for a while, though,
it's
right?
hard
We know
to
that.
figure out like what exactly it is that he's on, but it has to be Adderall because you can tell like when it's time for the lights, camera, action. You can tell when old Joey boy has been ramped up. Maybe they're giving him a shot in the cheek.
Well, that second debate, he came alive.
Oh, there's no doubt.
I think testosterone, peptides, Adderall, nootropics.
Yeah, and I don't know much about that kind
I'm
of stuff.
not familiar.
I'm familiar with like the basic Adderalls and Percocets and shit like that.
He's
But
on a lot of shit.
he has to be.
He was always kind of a weirdo, though, before he started showing signs of this, just as a human being, just not an honest.
There's no doubt. I mean, he has 2 children that are living, and both of them are junkies.
Yeah, no, there's something's weird about that.
So usually when your kids are junkies, it's because you were a bad parent. Like, I'm just going to call it out. Like, if you have kids that are on drugs and addicted to
Well,
drugs.
Did you read the diary?
That's my next thing.
I mean,
It's like,
seriously.
like taking showers with your 12-year-old.
I'm a little messed up. She's like, I don't know if this is wrong or something. That was sad. And he had him read that deal, too.
So
They're creepy.
Well, I don't know. We assume that
Why they're all messed up. I mean,
like
That was weird.
Like babies take baths. So this person was taking a shower. So right.
Of like a older. That's so. Gross.
So like think about that. Like when I have a 6-year-old, a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old boys, and even my 10-year-old Delilah, she still takes baths. They hate taking showers. They'd rather take a bath. It's more fun and whatever the case may be. So like
I still take baths.
she's taking showers. She's taking showers at that age with her dad at a showering age.
It's so gross.
Right? And her dad, like.
No. How is he still? That's what blows my mind. How does something like that come out?
That's child
then
molestation. That's
the vice president talks about horse. Like,
so they found, you know how they found that
How would that
diary,
even
right?
happen?
You know where that whole thing came from. So
Yeah,
she was in a
moved
halfway
out of a
house
Yeah.
in Delray Beach, and the person that came into the room, when she left her room, she left her diary under the bed. The next person that came in to her room found it and was like, "Oh my God, this is Joe Biden's daughter."
Gross.
And there's
old though.
There's some. Oh yeah, but which you've never heard anything about it though.
No, I mean just a little bit when they got raided by that.
And
yeah.
that's it.
I mean they brought
There is a
attention to
diary
it
from the
themselves.
president's daughter that says that he took showers with her.
That's that's insane.
He's still the president. She was in a rehab because she was a junkie, and his other son, who is literally scum of the earth, like with prostitutes, with it's just everything about him is scumbaggish. He's just a scumbag guy. You know what I mean?
not to say
And
why.
And my face is
this
like
because
it's so gross.
This
that,
isn't-
that
listen.
was worse than the diary, but the whole thing is
This
just
isn't-
terrible that it's even happening.
this isn't crazy, man. Your number one job in your life when you have kids, and I don't know if you have kids or
I
not.
do not, no.
So if you ever have kids, when you have kids, and you know this without even having kids, your number one job in life is dad or mom first. I don't care what your job. If you're the president of the United States, you're still a dad first, the president 2nd, right? So like, he was not a good dad.
No.
His kids.
He wasn't a good politician either.
Well, his kids are
don't get
junkies.
how
Like,
this is
and there's a
happening.
reason there's a reason for that because of whatever. Obviously, from her diary, he was taking showers with his daughter. She said she was hypersexualized at a young age.
That's so
What? How do you get
even-
hypersexualized at a young age? Like what? What?
I don't. It's not.
And he would talk down to his son like crazy, like tell him he's dumb, he's stupid.
It's just this is the president of the United States.
That's sad.
This and this is where we're at, though, right? So it's like, look at Donald Trump's kids. I mean, what are we even having a conversation about here? Like,
That's what blew my mind.
his kids,
don't
you know,
know.
and he's got, you know, he's had obviously been divorced and remarried, and he's had his rocky road with marriages or whatever. But his kids are good people. I personally know one of them, and he's awesome.
No,
Would
I
do
like
anything
I
for
like-
me.
that blew
cares
my
about the
mind that
American
they do
people.
that. And I do like the Trumps for the. You know, I like a lot. Like he went into business. I can't imagine what would it be like to be Donald J. Trump when the Clintons were president and trying to do business in New York. Can you imagine? And
Lots of money.
I tell people, I'm like, I think he snapped. He didn't have to run for office, but I think he knew a better way to do it, and he wanted
Yeah.
to be honest. And
Yeah.
it could be ugly that people are honest, but that's a good thing in the long run to break out of it. But it is ugly watching it all go down.
Yeah,
But to
after
attack
Obama,
the
he had no
guy,
choice.
to attack Trump over their wrongdoings because he's calling him out is just absurd.
I mean,
So I think in the long run, somebody like you, it's like, I don't care what he says about him. He's getting work done. Go now. We'll help you. You know, I think more people are going to catch on to that as they see America go further and further down the drain.
Correct.
So
And-
we need people like that. I mean, I have said too, I was telling them, Romney, McCain, horrible. Trump stepped up.
Yeah.
He opened a whole new voter demographic.
how could you
out
like
of-
Mitt Romney? How could you?
asked
If you
that.
even heard him talk, and you're like, man,
was-
that guy, man, there's something about him. I just
McCain
seems
was
like a
pretty
nice
bad.
guy.
Rest in peace, but he was terrible.
I mean,
too.
he
I met
was
him in person.
the Crypt
Well, both
Keeper.
of them, but it was bad candidates. Not even.
He
I
might have
don't
been the worst presidential candidate that Republicans have ever run out.
know. I would put that there.
He couldn't even send an email. He said he didn't know how to send an email.
Not even that. He just wasn't Republican. He wasn't.
No, he's a
conservative.
rhino.
He wasn't
I mean, he
conservative
was
at all.
no. Oh my
no,
God, are you kidding me? No way.
No.
That guy was not.
not even. And I think they were trying
good
to go
person.
for a moderate approach, which was so stupid because Republicans were just distancing. They quit voting, I think, until Trump got in there. They're like, "Oh, this is us. Here
Yeah.
we go. Now we'll get involved."
You're running out a 100-year-old dude that can't. First off, he was a prisoner of war.
Yeah.
So, you can go through as much medical treatment for PTSD and for mental health, right? Like, what he went through is different. That doesn't ever leave you, right? Like, you're never mentally okay from being in a POW camp and being
That's
tortured and
terrible.
shit like that, right?
So I think of
So, like,
service, obviously, but it was.
But he's gonna be
that
the
is
president?
sad. Yeah, I don't know. He
mentally, like with what he went through his whole life and all the things he's gone through, that's the best. And I always say this, like 335 million people, and Joe Biden is the best person at 335 million. He's the guy. 335 million people?
Votes too.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. Like, look at the people that we're running out now for president. Like, nobody wants to do it. People are always saying to me, you should run for bro, when are you going to run for Congress? But it's like, I kind of can do more now as a civilian than I could in Congress, because even if I wanted to vote a certain way, it has to go with the votes of everybody else in my party.
See, well, that's,
or you're not getting
I don't
anything
think that's
done.
true necessarily. I hope it's not true with Republicans. I think they're more independent, but I think with the Democrats, they're like, I care about this, I care about this, I care about this, and they try to go for all of it, and it's coming out of the taxpayers' dollar. I'm not that passionate about what they're doing. I'd rather give my money to philanthropy, to something I actually care about, rather than ripping it out of my pocket to get votes. I mean, that's just absurd. And now they're trying to spread it all too thin. But I think I'm really I'm optimistic. optimistic. I was telling them that about Republican Party or whatever it's going to be called in the future. I do think Republican, but it's to redesign the platform and actually get strong people in there that are
doing
good.
that.
They are.
Yeah,
No, and I got
Trump-backed
excited.
candidates,
Yeah,
and the
Trump-
majority of them have won. Have
No,
primaried their, you know,
Rhinos are so terrible for the party.
Kinzinger, gone. What's her name? The one that just got lost her primary from Wyoming, Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney primaried, she's gone. Adam Kinzinger, he's gone. He got primaried, he's not running. So like they got a lot of rhinos coming that are going to be when we take back the House, that are gone, that are not going to be filling those seats anymore. Like,
and I think before Trump got in too, I used to remember they were very like, if you had an affair, if you did anything, they destroyed they would destroy that candidate as Republican because they're moral. You know, they are good people. Leave their private lives out of it. They're good for the country. In the long run, I don't care.
Yeah.
So, but I think with him opening that book up and taken the hit on being like, I don't care. Yeah, that was in my past, is going to be very helpful for a lot of very good people that were reformed or used to do stuff in the past that are very strong candidates.
sure. I mean, we need more Americans, right? And Americans meaning not robots that have been programmed through that are rich people's sons and daughters that have been programmed through their parents to be congresswomen or men or senators
that don't know anything about the real world.
We need
Real world.
a real hard blue collared Americans to start running for office who their dad was a plumber for 25 years and that's how they were raised.
The
their
backbone of America.
Their mom was a teacher or stay-at-home mom, and like I'm the son of these people, and now I'm a congressperson, not the son of a guy that owns a giant corporation. And you were raised so freaking wealthy your whole life. Not that there's anything bad against
on their
that,
background, but if you're
a lot of those people that are rhinos are those people.
Yeah.
That they come from well-to-do families. They were. This is who you were going to be from the moment you were born. Like you were born to do this, and their whole life they were raised to become a congressman or a senator. Like. We need real Americans.
Well, I see some of them
people
just
call
pick
it how they see it.
Republican because the district leans Republican, and they get in there. They have money. They get in there, and they get voted in. It's like, shit, that's going to mess up things for a long time.
Yeah. We need hardworking Americans, but the problem is that they will squash you like the little bug you are.
Yeah, they will get stronger.
But Trump is doing a great job of getting the rhinos out and getting hardworking Americans in, like Myra Flores.
DeSantis is a good example too, very good example.
Lauren Boebert, Myra Flores.
Reform, these are good people.
These are hardworking Americans. What's her name? Marjorie. Matt. All these people. These are conservatives that are getting elected in through Trump. Like these are good, hardworking Americans. Like I said, Lauren Boebert, Myra Flores from South Texas, who just flipped a district that was like 90% Democrat, voted 90% Democrat, and she won as a Republican congresswoman.
Excellent.
In that special election. So she's running again in November. But this is what we have to do to change the country. It has to start in November. We have to take back the House and the Senate, hopefully. And then this way we can block all these agendas that Biden's going to try and shove down our throat. And we can defund the 87,000 IRS agents that they're going to try and sick on the middle class. And we can start getting rid of some of these policies and executive orders he signed.
It'll have to be a very aggressive turnaround, so they can't do it that easy again.
And that's why we need the Trump-backed candidates to win. Because those are the people that will be very aggressive in trying to turn it around. We got a lot of the rhinos out. And those are the people that were pushing back on stuff. You know what I mean? And even guys like Ted Cruz, right? Like and people like him, like
they get used to just working in that atmosphere. It's not acceptable.
The what's the congressman that's from that's an ex-Navy SEAL with the eye patch? Dan, he's from Texas.
I don't know.
The one dude was calling him Eye Patch McCain. Dan Crenshaw.
Oh, no.
Dan Crenshaw. He's a Navy SEAL, but he's a rhino, and he's a globalist. And this guy Alex Stein, who does these kind of crazy things, follows people around like that, and he was calling him Eye Patch McCain, basically saying you're John McCain, but with an eye patch because you lost an eye in Afghanistan as a Navy SEAL. But he's a globalist and he's a rhino, and he needs to be voted out. And this is the prime example of a guy that needs to go. And we got to make it happen, man. If we don't, we're gonna be in trouble. If we don't win the House,
we need more people doing this kind of stuff too. I think it's great.
It's easy to do.
Is yes. Outside of good, we definitely need to.
I never understood, like, if you live in Eagle Pass, why not just do it? You live. If I lived there,
You'd
it would be
probably
so
just
much
get-
easier.
I mean, you'd probably get overwhelmed. Imagine going out every day and then it's back again every day.
You do.
So you refresh it, get new faces in there, and then leave.
Yeah,
And then
it's
show
depressing.
them how it's done. Yeah,
It's depressing, but
definitely makes a difference.
the big thing is that, like, I know when I go back there in October for this dog rescue that we're going to go back there and the place that I clean up is going to be completely covered. I know one of the places I already cleaned up, I went back to 2 days later, the day that we were leaving on 9/11, it was already covered in clothes. Literally cleaned it up 2 days later, covered in clothes.
See, imagine living there. You just go. That's like an hour, couple hours of your day.
But you got to petition the local government, right?
Well, that's where it starts. All politics are local. People really need to start working locally, build
Yes.
up. And
The problem with
stop
the local
depending
government,
on the
though.
federal government.
The problem with the local government, though,
Really
is they
gotta
shouldn't
change it.
they shouldn't be the ones that have to clean that up.
No.
The federal, it's not their job. But what they're doing is
In this case in particular,
they're having to expend funds on the border when the federal government should be expending those funds. So now they're blowing their budgets in these police and these sheriff's departments. They're spending money on overtime. Their sheriffs are now border patrol agents and not sheriffs. They're not patrolling the town like they should be patrolling. So crime's up. And crime's up because more illegal aliens are running through their towns and because less cops are patrolling the streets because they're on the border stopping people that are crossing by the hundreds. They're jumping into rivers in the Rio Grande and trying to save people.
so sad.
That's not what they should be doing.
No,
but
that's
that's what they're doing, and no one talks about
To
it.
be done about. Well, you did. Thank you for opening that up to everybody.
You're welcome.
For
It's
sure. And then Blue Line moving.
Yep.
South Florida, and then the Great American Cleanup, and you're going back to get the puppy dogs.
we're going back to get the puppies.
And those will be at where for adoption?
They're
Available.
going to go to that Alabama facility at Big
Okay.
Dog Ranch Rescue. So once we complete it, we'll obviously have much more information from, they're going to get their shots and they're going to get their
good.
veterinarian. They're going to get it taken care of and get nursed back to health first. And then once they're nursed back to health, because a lot of those dogs had mange. I think the one that you were looking at looked like it had cataract in its eye. So they're going to get the treatment that the dog should get, and then they'll be up for adoption. And we'll be posting about.
Well, when
it
you
and
get back
everything.
from that, we'd love to have you back on again.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I'd love to come back. It's
That
going to
was
be
fun. Thank
it's
you.
going to be nuts. This crew we're going with it's going to be a bigger crew, and Big Dog Ranch Rescue has a lot of pull. They know a lot of people,
Good.
and they're going to bring they're going to bring like a video crew, so they're really going to. I'm just one little guy with my phone and a GoPro.
Well, it went a
just trying to
long
make
way.
it happen, right? Like these
Yeah.
people are going to bring like a camera because they got money. You know what I'm saying? Like to be able to have a camera crew and film everything, and I'm going to take them to some of the places.
Excellent. That's-
Like I told her, I'm like, the dogs. You think the dogs is nuts? You ain't seen anything.
oh my gosh.
So
That's
we'll
crazy.
see. But thank you for having me on. I
No,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
It was
Appreciate your
great.
time, and stop by again when you get back. Let us know how that goes.
Hopefully we get a bunch of dogs.
Okay, good deal. Thank you.